All right. Welcome in, everyone. Just make sure my mic's on. If you're just tuning in, if you're just jumping on, we are tracking an ongoing severe weather / tornado outbreak. We have certainly seen a lot of active weather already today, and as we continue into the evening, more storms continue. We've seen multiple tornadoes. We've seen many severe storms. Of course, our primary threats heading into the evening remain tornadoes and wind as well. As one of the things, if I switch to our mosaic radar, that you're going to notice is that we have lines of storms that have formed here. And because there's more lines of storms forming, that tells us that more or less we're looking at, again, that wind threat materialize, as these lines are very efficient at driving strong wind in the middle of the atmosphere back down to the surface. So like I said, if you're just jumping on right now, we're looking at a current tornado threat primarily, but also damaging wind becoming a bigger problem. And Kenny already saying massive damage done. Yeah, I have seen some pretty crazy. What's up, Zia? Welcome back. I've seen some pretty crazy damage already. I mean, yesterday, too, guys, we had a huge tornado that occurred in south central Kansas. That was in and of itself a pretty wild storm. We had the one in Kentucky, in southern Kentucky. We were live right before that happened, and that was also a pretty wild storm, to say the least. So yeah, I'm looking to see where we have any reports of damage as we go through the live too. And if you guys see anything, share it with me, because I'd love to pass that along. Yeah, last night's gate to gate was crazy. I have a full clip of that tornado on radar that I was looking at earlier. It's actually up. I think it's up in here on TikTok too. I stayed up till like 5 a.m. looking at 6 a.m. looking at radar data last night. It was nuts. It was nuts. Today, though, of course, we do have tornado warnings in effect. A lot of these are currently ongoing in Oklahoma, in fact. So what you're seeing are many of our tornado warnings in Oklahoma right now. If we switch to our velocity, this is what we look for to determine rotation, and it looks really messy right now. And that's because it kind of is. You have all these clusters of storms coming together, but there are some dangerous segments in here. We currently have this tornado warning. We had what looked to be a pretty dangerous storm cell. I mean, this passed very close to Wilburton, Oklahoma. This would have been your tornado right here. Robbers Cave Wildlife Management Area may have been hit. Hopefully that's a pretty random area, but still an area of strong rotation here just south of Kinta, Oklahoma, moving towards San Bois, something like that, the Choir, getting close to McCurtain too, Oklahoma. That's one of the spots that we're going to be watching here. Also close to Stillwell, so this is a more classic look here on radar if we take a look at it. And by classic, I mean it's easier to pick out. Still not perfect, but this right here is your area of rotation. If we put a little motion on this, I can tell you exactly where the tornado would be. And yeah, no doubt. So we had a pretty significant frame right here, just north of Bunch, Oklahoma. It is a confirmed tornado, in fact. So, without a doubt, we have something dangerous going on in here. Your tornado would be right in here if one is on the ground. It seems like it is. So Stillwell, Oklahoma, in a bad spot right now, as that tornado warning storm, the likely tornado is headed that direction at this moment. We have more severe storms, more tornado warning storms. In fact, we have one out here. This is in Kansas, and here's a pretty good indicator of a hook. You can see it sticking right out of the line here. It's the end of that hook right here. This is where a tornado would be occurring if one is being produced. This storm moving to the east-northeast right now. It's in pretty rural areas, but if it keeps going, it's going to get pretty close to Topeka. So we'll have to keep a close eye on this one. And you can see that hook that really just jumped out about, what was that, a few frames ago. It's probably about 15 minutes ago we saw that. And actually, the other thing you're noticing here too, when we see these we see this with tornado warning storms, this beginning to take a dive a little bit farther to the south there. And I'm not sure it's going to actually end up going south at all, but instead of going northeast, you can see we have seen that storm move to the right, a right mover, as we say. Fort Worth tonight. Let me take a look at Fort Worth. I'll look at some of the places now that we're here. We got one more tornado warning. Then I'll take a look at some of those places, and I'll remember Fort Worth, St. Louis. We got another tornado warning storm here. This is in west central Missouri, just north of Osceola. What I'm seeing here is, again, a pretty messy look on radar, and we're going to have a lot of messy looks on radar tonight, especially because there is a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. Again, really tough to pick out, but clearly there's some kind of rotation in here. We're pretty far from the radar, so it's hard to determine how strong it may be, but this is a radar indicated storm. So, all right, let's go a little farther south. Seeing some questions about Texas, seeing some questions about St. Louis as well. In Texas, if you're in Fort Worth, the biggest concern is this line right here. And the question right now is, do we get more storms to form on the end of this? Because if we do, then you're certainly going to be in for a stormy evening. If we do not, see any storms extend to the end of this line here, Fort Worth, Dallas, greater area is going to get out of here without many problems. So we're watching that. And right now, it's really hard to say if more storms pop up. Clearly, we just had this guy right here emerge, but we're going to need to just watch this. And if you're in Fort Worth, you just need to be mindful of the threat. But I don't expect we're going to see a significant tornado threat out there. I'm guessing more hail and wind here. Definitely a hail threat for sure if you're in the Fort Worth area. All right, let's see. I saw Tulsa. Let's show you what's going on here in Tulsa. And the good news is that most of these storms have actually already moved on beyond Tulsa. So if you're out in Tulsa, we're looking at storms that at least are pretty much in and out. This line of storms moving to the east now. And actually, one of the things I'm looking at here, too, is if you take a look at the shape of this line, you can kind of begin to see that U shape forming here, right here. And that's a sign of some very strong wind being driven down through the atmosphere. So what this says to me is that we certainly have a damaging wind threat along with the tornado threat. If you're out in Joplin, we'll get to Missouri, Joplin and St. Louis here. Joplin, as well as Springfield, this area, really getting into some of the severe weather right now, but we're looking at more so severe storms at this moment. Wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. We have hail, a lot of lightning. But the storms at this moment are just the first part of this threat because, again, we're going to be keeping an eye on what happens with this cluster of storms down here. This segment of the line, while it may not hit Joplin directly, Joplin being a bit farther north here, this will be moving into southwestern Missouri, so places like Branson and just north of Branson, in fact, will be in line for more storms as we get later into the evening here, probably about the next hour. Actually, I have some family in Branson right now, so I'll be watching for them. If you guys are out in St. Louis, all these storms are going to get out that way too, and I'll show you our outlook right now so you can get an idea of your risk level. One of the things that we are going to be watching, of course, is how long it takes for these storms to slow down. And right now, there's not much to slow the storms down except themselves forming these lines. So, of course, you have a lot of activity down here. This is where you have your level 4 risk, primarily for tornadoes and wind. As these storms move east, they will slowly weaken, but especially that segment that we're seeing out there in Oklahoma right now, this Boeing segment we were talking about, this is going to keep the severe weather risk a bit higher, especially through northern Arkansas and through southern Missouri as well. So that's where our greatest threat is going to be as we go through the next few hours. I do want to add, though, that, again, we still have a strong line of storms moving through northeastern Kansas, and we're going to be keeping an eye on this, as this will impact Kansas City and portions of northern Missouri, too. So we have two areas of higher interest that we're keeping a very close eye on right now. As mentioned, we have that one segment in Kansas. We have another segment in Oklahoma. And while the threat will be decreasing later on tonight, there is certainly a lot more severe weather to go before things end up dying down. So still plenty of time and plenty of fuel left for these storms to feed off of. Some other places we're keeping an eye on, also a couple severe storms out in northern, well, not northern, but more so eastern Nebraska. We do have one severe storm directly over Nashville, Tennessee. I'll show you that too here in just a moment. But most of the activity staying where I just showed you, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas this evening. That's at least where our highest potential is for tornadoes, along with damaging wind, large hail, threats like that. I'm going to turn off our base map here so we can get back to radar tracking. And I do want to show you a couple of the other storms that are ongoing out here for those of you who are curious. I'll talk more about Branson here in a moment too. Again, I have family out there at this time, so I'm keeping a close eye on it for them as well. But I just want to show you this storm. It's crossing from Nebraska into Iowa right now. It's clearly had some rotation because you'll notice we have a bit of a hook here. You see that? You see that right there? And I don't know if this was tornado warned earlier, but certainly if I was in the hot seat, it's something I would have given a look. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. Looks like it's a little bit outflow dominant, which makes it more of a wind threat. But nonetheless, it's something we're watching. So just something to keep an eye on if you're in west central Iowa. That is where this severe storm is moving next. We also, like I said, have one severe storm directly over Nashville, Tennessee, actually hitting Nashville right now. Do we have anyone from Tennessee in here? Anyone from Nashville by chance? Because this is a severe storm moving directly over the city of Nashville here. Looks like quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Kind of a bad place for this storm, given it's all alone out there. Just happens to be hitting the city. All right, Missy's in Nashville, and Miss Peach. Let me know what you see out there. Let me know what you see. Like I said, Nashville, you can see pretty clearly here. Downtown, I mean, if you're not in it already, you're getting into it right now. So expect a little bit of hail, mainly on the south side of the city, though. Mainly the south side. That's the worst of this is going to be. Speaking of the worst of this, and let me take a look at some of your questions again. We still have a few tornado warnings in eastern Oklahoma right now. Let me get an idea. So we got people in Arkansas too, and it looks like a lot of people in Arkansas. So here's what I'm looking at for Arkansas. You know, if you live in the northern half of the state, that's where you especially need to be on watch. So I'm looking at Fort Smith, Bentonville, Fayetteville, Little Rock included in this too, Jonesboro, even out towards Memphis, Tennessee, although the threat once you get to Memphis is a bit lower. But this northern portion of Arkansas is really where we have that greatest risk through this evening. And I am expecting a damaging wind threat. And certainly there is the potential for some tornadoes out there too. So northern Arkansas, you can see pretty clearly, this is where everything's moving right now. And I'll highlight it again, but if you take a look at our line of storms, see that U shape I was talking about before? When you get that U shape, when you get that Boeing segment, as we call it, that's when you're really able to drive the damaging wind or the strong wind, I should say, that's a few thousand feet above the ground. The storms take it and they drive it down to the surface. So if you're northern Arkansas, over the next, let's call it, let me get a look on the timing here. Let's call it over the next 3 to 4 hours. If you're in northern Arkansas, you have to be on watch. So you still got some time before this threat begins to slow down. It could get pretty busy out there. For everybody else not in Arkansas, we are keeping a close eye, at least I'm keeping a close eye on this line of storms that you can see out here in Kansas. This is in eastern Kansas right now, but it's moving to some pretty populated areas, including Kansas City. And I do expect this segment of storms, you can see on the sort of left side of your screen here. That segment of storms is moving, like I said, into the Kansas City area, but will likely continue into northern Missouri as well. So, Jeff City, Columbia, portions of the state around there will be facing this threat over the next few hours as well. And additionally, St. Louis is in a place too where storms will be weakening a lot, but there is still a chance for severe weather. I want to introduce myself, guys, again, just in case you're new tuning in here. My name's Tucker. I'm a meteorologist. I actually have a degree in meteorology from Penn State. I work on TV in Boston as a professional meteorologist. So you're getting good weather information from an expert in this. So if you're watching here on TikTok, consider following. If you're watching on YouTube, consider subscribing. And one note for you guys watching on TikTok, I am also streaming on YouTube right now. And simply put, there's a lot less people watching on YouTube. So if you're asking questions and I'm missing them, if you find me at Tucker Weather on YouTube, I'll see your questions a lot faster there. That's just how the numbers work right now. So just trying to help you guys out. Seeing a lot of questions about Branson. We were talking about Branson earlier. Branson's in a spot where we are going to be watching some of the northern storms on this line moving into Arkansas. The northern segment of this will move into the Branson area in about the next hour, and that's when you're going to see the most of your severe weather get in, and that's going to be the biggest concern in about an hour. Mainly damaging wind, but there is still a chance for a tornado for sure out there. Let's see. Let me look up some of those places you guys are asking about. Tell me, so if you guys are in, it's like Leavenworth, for example. I roughly know where that is, but give me a landmark. Give me like Kansas City if you're near Kansas City. I see it out here, actually. There it is. But if you guys have places that are maybe a little smaller, just call it a city that you live near. Make it easier for me to answer your questions faster. But Leavenworth, yes, you are in a spot where we certainly have what will be a damaging wind threat as these storms get a bit closer to you. I will say I'm actually seeing the tornado threat decrease already, and I'll show you why right here. This faint gray line doesn't look like much, but that actually means that we have rain-cooled air underneath these storms, and that rain-cooled air is stable. So while you can still get some damaging wind, you can still get hail for sure. The tornado threat a bit lower in Leavenworth, but damaging wind certainly possible in about an hour out there. Let's see. Seeing questions in the YouTube chat right now. Wichita, Kansas. Wichita, you're actually in a pretty good spot here because most of the severe weather is actually past you already. In Wichita, I'm circling in the map. What I am seeing though is, and this is really interesting here, actually, guys. So take a look at this. You have this faint brownish green line moving to the east. That is rain cooled air from storms. We call it outflow, and as it continues to move east, it may help to initiate some storms. So it's going to basically provide a lot of lift to the atmosphere. And that means Wichita, while the severe weather threat is pretty low now, while the tornado threat at least is very low in Wichita, hail is still possible, damaging wind still a possibility as well. But the worst of this is over now. So yeah, you don't need to be at home, but just note, could be some hail if you take your car out. Let's see, how do you get this program? There's a bunch of radar apps. This is one of them out there. Billings, Missouri. Tell me what Billings, Missouri is near, and I can get you a clearer answer there. Let's see, Rolla is in a spot, certainly. I see that in chat. Rolla's in a spot where we're certainly going to see the threat for some severe storms a bit later on. Mainly looking at, again, these storms that are moving, that we were talking about before, that'll be moving into the Branson area, because these are going to continue moving into south central Missouri. I do feel that Rolla is likely on the north side of this, in that the severe weather threat will not be as significant as many areas that are looking at severe weather tonight, but I don't expect you're going to be totally clear in Rolla. You'll at least get some strong storms, likely some minor wind damage in and around the area, but it does look worse to your south. I'll take a look at Warrensburg in a moment. Springfield as well. I'll get to Springfield, then we're going to go up to Warrensburg. Springfield right now, I mean, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning right now. This warning is for 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So that's going to cause some damage for sure. This storm just getting into the downtown area. It looks a bit messy, but it certainly does at least have a lot of fuel it's working with. So if you're in Springfield, expect some potential wind damage here. Although, like I said, the tornado threat notably lower than southern counterparts. Even Branson has a notably higher tornado threat than Springfield right now. All right, now let's take a look towards Warrensburg. If you're just south of Kansas City, what we're looking at here again is this line of storms should be there in about an hour to an hour and a half. And as our line of storms gets into that, Kansas City metro and area south, we're looking at what will be a damaging wind threat and the chance for some hail out there too. So nothing insane, but certainly going to be a bit on the busy side of things here. Let me get to some more of your questions now. Fayetteville, Arkansas is in a spot that we have some of those tornado warning storms getting pretty close. Again, Fayetteville being right around here. So if you were in Fayetteville, Arkansas, that's one of the spots that you should be at least preparing to head down to that safe place. Again, lowest floor of your house or whatever building you're in an interior room. Basement's ideal. But that's where we're going to be looking at that threat for severe weather in the near term here as these tornado warning storms get close, at least, to Fayetteville. Belton, Missouri. So again, I saw that question. Again, Kansas City area is what we're looking at here. If any of you are in the Kansas City, if any of you live within 30 minutes of Kansas City, it is this line of storms out here that we're watching to move in, and as it does, damaging wind is a certain possibility. We also do have a flash flood warning in effect for the Kansas City area, so Kansas City could be some secondary threats there. If you live in an area that's more prone to flooding, make note of that. Southeast Oklahoma. A question coming from the YouTube chat. Again, guys, if you're watching on TikTok, and I'm doing my best to get to all your questions on there, but if you have questions I'm not seeing, I'll be able to answer them a lot quicker if you find me at Tucker Weather on YouTube. There's a lot less people in there. Southeastern Oklahoma, though, what we're seeing is this line of storms continue to move through, and one of the things with this line of storms on the south end is that it's not quite as strong as the northern side. While there is a lot of color on radar, we're seeing a lot of rain and not as much result. So what I would expect through the remainder of southeastern Oklahoma is heavy rain, definitely some gusty wind. There could be some damaging wind, but also flash flooding is a threat out here in the southeastern portion of Nebraska too, southeastern portion of Oklahoma, because there is so much rain falling right now, and it will be falling for a little while. But that's certainly one of the things that we need to keep an eye on. Let's see here. Taking a look at Parkersburg, Kansas. let me see what we got out here. Oh, sorry, Pittsburgh. I don't know why I said Parkersburg. So Pittsburgh was in an area that there was a very close call earlier today. What we're seeing now, actually, that might have been Pittsburgh, Oklahoma, now I think about it. But what we're seeing right now, if you're in Pittsburgh, so again, right here, this is Kansas. It's really basically Tulsa out through Pittsburgh, Joplin included in this too. We have a zone that is not being impacted very significantly, and that is certainly good news. You may get out of this without much trouble if you're out there in Pittsburgh, luckily. But you should still be on watch throughout the next 2 hours. Olathe, again, if anyone is in the Kansas City area, I'm tracking this line of storms. You can see it a bit to the west of the city. It should be in about the next 90 minutes. Damaging wind is possible. I expect more minor damage, but you should still be prepared. If you got anything sitting outside, then you definitely need to bring it in because you might lose it in the neighbor's yard. I've seen a lot of Tennessee questions, and again, I'm going to ask again, anyone in Nashville right now, because you guys can tell me more than what radar can tell me about what's going on in the city, but what I'm looking at in Nashville is a severe storm. It's one of the only storms, it is in fact the only storm in the state of Tennessee right now, and it is severe, and it is over the most populous location in the state, right over Nashville. So the only storm in Tennessee is severe, and it is directly over Nashville. So you guys in Nashville, let me know what you're seeing, because what I'm seeing is really what could be a damaging storm out there. You know, I don't expect cars are going to be dented by this, but the hail could do a little bit of damage. Arkansas, we were talking about Northwest Arkansas earlier. If you're in Northwest Arkansas, that's where the majority of the action is occurring now. Especially, you see that Boeing line of storms there, see that backwards C shape? That tells you there's a lot of wind here, and this is going to impact Fayetteville. In fact, I was saying before, if you're in Fayetteville or even Springdale or a little bit south of Fayetteville, you should be getting ready to head down to the lowest floor of your house, even a basement possibly. I would not be surprised if one of these tornado warnings that's in effect is extended. You can see these tornado warnings right here in the line of storms, and at the very least, there is going to be some very strong wind that gets into Fayetteville, and it may only be about 20 to 30 minutes away. But if we switch to our wind velocity here, you're seeing a bunch of those bright colors indicating, again, the strong wind, and there is certainly tornado potential. So Fayetteville and really all of Northwest Arkansas, that's where the worst of these storms are moving in right now. But if you're as far north as Bentonville, then your threat's a little bit lower. It's mainly Springdale, Fayetteville, areas a little bit farther to the south here too, facing the biggest threat in the near term here. Hey, you're welcome, Zach. Happy to do it. Columbia, Missouri. What we have here is a segment of storms that's not quite there yet, but moving your direction. We do have a tornado warning in this segment of storms. Doesn't mean it's going to be tornado warned when it reaches Columbia, but without a doubt, there is going to be there's a pretty high chance for severe weather in Columbia here, mainly looking like a wind threat, but there is a low tornado threat out in Columbia, Missouri as well, and that storm should be there in about an hour. So you have some time, but you should be prepared for severe weather. And if you have a house, you got anything outside, or you got anything you can bring it in, because it might blow away. St. Louis, Missouri. I was talking about the threat in St. Louis just a little bit ago, and one of the good things about tonight is that a lot of these storms are going to be weakening as they move into many of these areas farther east. So if I open up our severe weather outlook, and actually, you know what? I might try to hide our radar here. Well, there we go. If we look at our severe weather outlook, what you're seeing is in St. Louis, that level 2 risk out here. Most of our storms occurring to the, of course, to the west right now. And while they are moving into the St. Louis area and into northern Arkansas, they are going to be weakening as they get towards as they get towards the Mississippi River. So in St. Louis, there's no guarantee you'll even see severe weather, but I would expect storms, and some may have damaging wind gusts. Yeah, absolutely. More towards Rebel in the YouTube chat. More towards Jefferson City than Columbia. Absolutely. You nailed that one. Also, again, let's just give you a bigger overview. We have these two lines of severe storms right now. One that'll impact northern Missouri. We got another one that's going to impact southern Missouri and especially northern Arkansas here. This one that'll be going through northern Missouri, not quite as strong, but it is going to impact Kansas City pretty soon. It's in Kansas at this moment. And then this one you can see in the in Oklahoma, that's what's going to move through northern Arkansas. It's going to move through southern Missouri. And we also have just one storm right in the middle of the state that happens to be moving towards Jefferson City, perhaps just south of Columbia. That's sort of a rogue storm, but it is going to do its thing and could bring some damage to some of those areas. You can see a little bit, in the central part of the state. Saw more questions about northern Arkansas. Fayetteville specifically I'm going to talk about here because, like I said about 2 or 3 minutes ago, Fayetteville is where we're going to see most of the action over the next, at this point, over the next, and actually it looks like we may have just, is that for Fayetteville? Fayetteville is in this warning. All right, guys, so new tornado warning. Fayetteville is included. I was waiting to see if that did include Fayetteville. If you've been watching the live for as little as 5 minutes, you knew I was just talking about how I believe that we would see a tornado warning into the Fayetteville area. And here it is. So Fayetteville, time to head down to the basement. If you got one, lowest floor of your house in an interior room. And this is for a storm that won't only potentially produce a tornado, but will be producing some very strong wind as well. And you know what? It actually, to me, looks like we may have a tornado on the ground right now. You see that spot right there? I'm going to zoom in more. This is headed right towards Lincoln, Arkansas, crossing the state line right here. That bright blue and bright red color side by side, that's exactly what you look for when you're looking for a tornado on the ground. Again, we call this a couplet, and it's when you have these bright colors side by side indicating strong rotation, going counterclockwise. That is the telltale sign of a tornado. So we do need to treat the storm very, very seriously. And if you live in Lincoln or Prairie Grove, these are areas that may be impacted next by this possible tornado. Again, I'll circle the tornado here, and it's on a path, honestly, that would take it right through Lincoln and Prairie Grove. So if you're in Lincoln or Prairie Grove, now's the time to get down to that safe place. And by the way, guys, if you are just jumping on, what's up, Brianna? If you guys are just jumping on, I am a meteorologist. I have a degree in this. I work on TV as a meteorologist, so you're getting legit weather information. I'm not doing this to scare you. I'm doing this to prepare you. And we're going to keep you prepared and on alert as we go through this evening, especially for you guys who are in northwestern Arkansas, where we certainly have the highest risk for severe weather at this present time. As I mentioned, though, Fayetteville is in a spot where this threat is very high right now. And again, if you're in Fayetteville, you do have to be down in that safe spot, basement, lowest floor of your house. But if you're just a little bit farther north, towards Bentonville, there's a significant difference in the threat. Bentonville not facing that highest storm threat. The real danger here is, again, and you can see this line really bowing out now, it's that backward C shape. And not only does that mean we have this tornado threat like we're seeing out here, but we also have some very strong wind in the middle of the atmosphere that's going to be reaching the ground because these storms are taking it and they're driving it to the surface. So that's how you get your damaging wind. When you get that sort of U shape or backward C shape, better put. All right, let's see some more of your questions. Yes, storms will die out by the time they reach Kentucky. Tomorrow, though, Kentucky, you are in the risk zone. So Kentucky, your threat's tomorrow. If you're out there tonight, you're okay, though. Central Iowa, and then I'll get to your question there in a second, Brianna. Central Iowa, what we're seeing is a mess of storms right now. Honestly, the severe weather threat in Iowa does not appear particularly high, but you see all those plus signs on my map? You see them kind of flashing? That's lightning. So you are going to be getting some storms. It's going to rain pretty hard at times and probably pretty steadily too. But I don't see the severe weather potential so much because this rain is eating away at that potential. So if you're in Iowa, that's good news for you. If you're farther south, I'm looking at Kansas, Missouri, especially Arkansas tonight. That's where most of the activity is going to be. Yeah, honestly, Brianna, again, if you guys are in the Kansas City area, you're looking at the possibility for some severe weather as this line moves eastwards. And we are seeing this line weaken a bit, which is good, but you're still likely to see heavy rain. Honestly, flooding in Kansas City, guys, if you got to go out and get groceries or do any errands, do them now before the storms get in, because I could certainly see flooding blocking some of the roads and really making things inconvenient. If you're in St. Joseph, a little bit farther north, that severe weather threat actually looks pretty low to me. I would not be too concerned in St. Joseph, but I would expect some storms and some flooding is possible. You know, part of the reason, guys, we're seeing so much flooding right now is because there's so much moisture in the atmosphere. And that's why these storms look so messy. We have these lines of storms. We don't have individual storm cells like we did yesterday. Just so much rain coming down right now. We just got an update. This tornado is now confirmed. That one that we were talking about. Again, if you've been watching, we pretty much did that a few minutes ago. But this moving into northwestern Arkansas. Although, to be honest, you can see this rotation. You see that spot again? Remember our couplet, that blue and red spot side by side? In this latest update, we don't see that as clearly. That's a good sign. Not a sign the tornado is over, but it's a sign that, it could be weakening or that threat may be diminishing, at least temporarily. But this is still a dangerous storm. It has a history of producing tornadoes. And once again, our greatest concern right now is for people who are in Lincoln, Arkansas, Prairie Grove, Farmington, Fayetteville, and Greenland as well. All places you have to be in the lowest floor of your house. That safe spot right now. I'm going to reset, guys. If you guys are just tuning in, my name is Tucker. I'm a meteorologist. I work on TV in Boston. I have a degree in meteorology from Penn State. So the information you're getting here on this live is legitimate. It's information you can trust. That can be hard to find on the internet sometimes. So consider following if you're watching here on TikTok. Consider subscribing if you're watching here on YouTube. Whenever the weather gets bad, we go live. And when the weather is not, well, we do regular updates, at least if you're watching on YouTube. And by the way, for those of you guys who are watching on TikTok, I want to let you know that if you really want your question answered, and I'm not seeing it, and I am doing my best to get to you guys, but I am streaming on YouTube right now at Tucker Weather as well. And I only say that because there are less people watching on YouTube, and I might see your questions quicker. But if you have questions that aren't even about the storms today, perhaps you got a question about the storms tomorrow, you can also find me at Tucker Weather on Instagram. And I check my messages there quite often. So if you have any questions about the weather, just follow me there, send me a DM, and I'll respond to you with an outlook, a personal forecast, if you will, about what's ahead. And I do them for free because I like helping people out and I love talking about the weather. So don't hesitate. I'm here for you guys. I do want to mention, and then I'm going to get to more of your questions, we do have a new tornado warning. This was just extended here in central Missouri. We were talking about this storm not too long ago. Our tornado warning, I'll outline a little bit more in black so you can see it easier. That's a rough sketch, I guess, if you will. Jefferson City is a little bit to the east of this. Columbia is to the northeast, and this storm right now is headed towards both locations, although we're going to keep an eye as it may be actually leaning in a little closer to Columbia. Kind of looks like it's going to split the middle right now, but this is a dangerous storm that we need to watch. And of course, if I open up our velocity, you're going to see it's hard to tell exactly if we have a tornado on the ground right now, but what you are seeing are bright blue, bright pink colors side by side, indicating rotation here. That is your clear-cut sign of rotation, and when you have that, you certainly have the potential, at least, to produce a tornado if you're not producing one. All right, now to more of those questions. Knoxville, Tennessee, all good tonight. Let's see. Let me look up where some of your locations are. North Texas, you got to be right on the Red River, though, although, I'm thinking if you're in the Dallas area, Fort Worth, you're probably going to be okay because a lot of these storms are staying to the north. Let me look up Clinton, Missouri. I'm doing my best to get to all your questions. Again, a lot of you on, and I appreciate you being here, but just have some patience as we try our best to cover everything and answer everything at the same time. If you're in Clinton, it does appear that the worst of this threat is waning. So here's Clinton right on the middle of my map here. That tornado warned storm has moved off to your east. So if you're in Clinton, flooding is actually going to be your biggest concern tonight. And there may still be a severe storm, so stay on watch, but the highest threat is luckily over there now. Let me look up Holtz Summit for you as well. I see your question in chat. Holtz Summit we'll get to. If you're in northern Arkansas, you certainly need to be on watch. That's where our strongest part of the storm is right now. You can see this moving into the Fayetteville area. Again, I'm looking up some of your locations too. And if you live near a city, just tell me what city you live near because that would make it a lot easier for me to look things up quicker. Holtz Summit right now, though, for example, you really need to be on watch over the next hour to hour and a half here as that tornado warned storm in central Missouri moves that direction. Doesn't mean it's going to hit, but there's a possibility. So just please be prepared if you're in Holtz Summit over the next hour to hour and a half. You have some time, and I'm hoping it weakens, but we do need to take that one seriously. Michigan, you're all good. Springfield, Missouri, a lot of rain. There is still a chance for some damaging wind, but honestly, flooding looks like a bigger concern in Springfield now as we just see all this rainfall. But the worst of that storm that just went through is over. Indiana's okay here. Indiana's all good. Mansfield as well. If you're east of Springfield, you're getting into a severe storm right now. But if you're in Mansfield, it's really just the wind and potential hail. I'm not seeing much more beyond that, luckily. Let's see. Yeah, Springfield, Lexi. Tell me what you're seeing out there in Springfield, Lexi? Because I can see we have this severe storm. Anyone else in the TikTok chat too? Anyone in Springfield, Missouri? You just had that severe storm move through. I can see it on the east side of the city now. What are you guys seeing out there? Because this is warned for winds, but I'm curious if you saw some hail too. I kind of expect there may be some hail in there, but you guys would know better than me. Tornado confirmed in Lincoln, Arkansas. Yes, I was just looking at that. We're going to get back to Lincoln in a moment here. Western Kentucky tomorrow. I expect things could be active in Western Kentucky by the late morning, in fact. So midday, late morning tomorrow in Kentucky. Lots of thunder in Mansfield. Makes a lot of sense, Courtney. Yeah, you can see all the lightning. See all these pluses on my screen? All those pluses you're seeing, those are lightning strikes. All right, I want to get to our tornado warning storm that is in northwest Arkansas now. It did appear we had a tornado that was on the ground briefly as it crossed the border from Oklahoma into Arkansas. And again, I'll show you if you missed it. It's this area right here, those red and blue pixels side by side. This right here, guys, we call this a couplet. And it's a sign of rotation being picked up by radar when you have those bright colors side by side. So if you hear a meteorologist like myself refer to something as a couplet, that's what we're talking about. As we move this forward, the couplet became a little less clear, but here's the thing. This is still a strong area of rotation I've been watching. It moved through Lincoln. It's moving into Prairie Grove. So you really, really need to be careful here. This tornado has been confirmed, and if we open up our debris tracker, you can see exactly why, and that is not a good look. Again, what we're seeing here is what we call a debris ball. And again, remember where we had that couplet? See that blue bullseye here? That is how you can confirm a tornado. That tells us that debris is being lofted in the air right now. That was right by, just to give you a reference point, right by Snake Mountain. This is still a very dangerous storm continuing to move to the east. You can see, again, looks like we have a new debris ball that is formed. So this tornado very, very likely to be on the ground still. Just south of Prairie Grove. You see that blue spot? So if you're just south of Prairie Grove right now in Arkansas, this is where a tornado is on the ground right now. And if you're on the south side of Prairie Grove, I really hope you're in your safe place. You have to be there right now. And Maeve, by the way, Iowa, there are storms. You're all good, though. And please don't spam the chat. What we're seeing, though, again, a very, very dangerous storm. In fact, this right here, it's small. This may not be a super wide tornado, but this is our couplet right here, even though it's subtle. That is where our debris is being picked up. This is a very dangerous storm ongoing right now in northwest Arkansas. We have a confirmed tornado. It looks like it passed just south of Lincoln, just south of Prairie Grove right now. Concerned about places downstream like Greenland, Arkansas. And if this thing turns right at all, West Fork would be in the path. West Fork, you're not in the tornado warning. But if you're in West Fork, head down to the basement now. Just do that for me. Because you're really a little too close for comfort. And you're not in the warning, but you're right on the edge. So if you're in West Fork, Arkansas, you should be heading down to the basement now. Just do it. Not worth taking the risk here. Greenland, Arkansas, again, you are in this tornado warning right now. You should be there right now. And especially if you live between West Fork and Greenland, Arkansas. Do we have anyone here on our lives, whether on TikTok or YouTube, that is in these places? Especially right between the two. It looks more rural, but White Oak Mountain. If you live near White Oak Mountain, that's a spot that's really right in the path of this storm. These are places you have to be down. Yeah, I guess you're right. A lot of people may not have basements. If you don't have a basement, what do? You go down to the lowest floor of your house in an interior room. Just put as much space between you and the outside as possible. All right? You just go to an interior room, lowest floor of your house. You want to get as low as you can, and you want to get away from the outside walls. Because the concern is you can have debris that gets thrown through walls, sort of like a small missile almost. Again, here is our debris signature. Not a good look. This is the worst look, guys, on radar, is when you have a debris, when you know you have things like dust, splinters, dirt, leaves being lifted up into the storm, and you certainly do see right here why this is a tornado warning in effect. What was that? Sirens in Fort Smith. Okay, thanks for calling it out on TikTok. Who was that? Who just gave me that heads up? That's huge. We have another tornado, a confirmed tornado. We were just paying attention to one a little bit farther south. We have one in western Oklahoma, and what it appears to be is another confirmed tornado on the ground. This one really dangerous because it's moving close to some towns. Panama, Oklahoma right now, certainly not in a good spot. If we have a tornado on the ground, and we do because we have debris, this tornado is passing right between Shady Point and Panama, Oklahoma. So all of a sudden, activity really increasing right now. If you're in Panama or Shady Point, Oklahoma, now, if not 10 minutes ago, is the time to be in your safe spot. And again, whoever gave me that call out on the TikTok live about that tornado warning, great call. Thanks for the heads up there. About the sirens going off in Fort Smith. Speaking of Fort Smith and some other areas, you should be heading down to the basement because, again, we have a confirmed tornado here. Of course, if you're hearing those sirens, that tells you you're in the warning. And there's our tornado circled on your screen. It is at this moment moving to the northeast. So, Spiro, however you pronounce that, in western Oklahoma or eastern Oklahoma, it looks like you may be on the north side, but you're way too close for comfort. Scullyville, Murray Spur, Braden, and really anyone who lives in the Fort Smith vicinity. I mean, if this storm continues, I mean, it's on a path right towards Fort Smith. So if you're in Fort Smith, you really got to be, you're not in the warning, but you got to be ready to head down to the basement. If you're in Fort Smith, honestly, I would head there now just to be safe. You have a little bit of time. You got probably about a half hour if you're in Fort Smith. Grab some snacks, grab some water, grab something to keep you entertained and head down to the basement now. All right, we got an update on that warning in Fayetteville. I'm going to get to that new tornado warning in just a moment. I just want to give you a general overview because I know we got people watching elsewhere as well, and we're going to take a look here at Kansas. If you're in Kansas City, we're still looking at this line of storms move into places like Kansas City. St. Joseph may be impacted as well. We're looking at primarily damaging wind here and the potential for flooding. I'm less concerned about hail. I'm also less concerned about tornadoes on these storms moving into Kansas City. They're what we call outflow dominant. And when they're outflow dominant, you just don't produce severe weather the same way. We do have one severe storm moving into northwestern Iowa as well, but most of you guys in Iowa, you're just facing some general thunderstorms. What do we have here? Right outside Lincoln, Nebraska. We're keeping an eye on a storm near Lincoln, Nebraska, too. Doesn't look like much rotation, but there is a severe storm that's going to be moving along the, getting into the Nebraska-Iowa border here pretty soon. And last but not least, of course, we have a tornado-warned storm. This is continuing in central Missouri. It is continuing to move through central Missouri, and right now is likely to be on a path between Columbia and Jefferson City. I know we had someone at Holt Summit ask about this earlier. If you're still watching, you do need to pay close attention to this. You still got about an hour, but it's headed your direction. And now to that new warning. This is an extended warning for this storm. Oh, that's not a good look. This is an extended warning for the storm moving close to Fayetteville. That right there is not a good look. That is a very clear-cut hook. A sign this storm may be strengthening. Boy, oh boy, it looks like it is. Just let me see the frame, last radar frame. This is very interesting because it looks like we may have a new circulation on this storm. Again, let me check our debris tracker here. Oh gosh. Oh no. So if you're in Greenland, Arkansas, that is not at all what you want to see. We may have a strong tornado moving right into Greenland, Arkansas. Gosh, that is a bad look. So what we're seeing is debris. Hey guys, if you're in southern Fayetteville, you have no time. You got to get to the basement now. Don't wait. This storm looks like it just hit Greenland pretty hard. It may be turning north. This would be taking a route right through the southeastern edge of Fayetteville. That is a very bad look on radar. That is clear-cut debris. We may have a strong tornado on the ground here right now. Not what you want to see at all. So again, you have a bit of a messy look here. Oh gosh, guys, this is not what we want to see. So Make sure you're heading down to the lowest floor of your house, a basement if you have one. Just put yourself between the exterior walls and windows. If you're in that safe spot, you're likely to be okay, but obviously there's no guarantees, especially given we have a strong tornado. It appears near Greenland. You just got to do everything you can to protect yourself. And again, that's getting away from the top floor of your building. That's getting to the interior and the lowest floor. So again, I'll look at some of your other questions here, but I do want to focus in on this because this is moving into a pretty populated area. And this is a certain strong tornado on the ground, without a doubt here. I mean, that is a clear-cut debris signature. Let me just try to get an idea of where this may be headed next. And again, you can kind of see. So one of my concerns, guys, here, you can kind of see this northward jog. See how it kind of nudges northwards if I scrub between frames like this? That's telling me this may be occluding into the storm. And if it occludes, this would take it right into Fayetteville. But I still believe downtown Fayetteville may be all right. But, oh, boy, this is really concerning because it's a really close call. And Greenland, if you know anyone in Greenland, Arkansas, definitely check in on them because this looks like it may have just hit the town really hard. And honestly, I'm hoping this stays on a northeast path and doesn't go any farther north because Fayetteville is right there. So this one getting way too close for comfort. By the way, guys, if you're watching on TikTok, I am going to do my best to get to all your questions, but I do want to let you know I'm also streaming on YouTube at Tucker Weather. I'll see your questions a lot faster if you drop them in there. Again, at Tucker Weather on YouTube. I'm also streaming there. There's less people watching. I'll see your questions quicker. All right, we just got an updated radar scan. This thing is moving more easterly, which is good. So that's good news. Well, I don't want to say good. That's good news for Fayetteville. Greenland, though, keep those people in your thoughts because it looks like that town was just hit really hard. This is continuing. If it continues on this path, it's going to be moving very close to Baldwin and Harris, Arkansas. So it looks like some suburbs of Fayetteville. Oh, goodness gracious. That is just not a good look. Drake Field, that airport near Greenland, also looks like it was just hit hard by this tornado. And if we switch to our reflectivity, you can see this right here is where our tornado is, where you have this. I mean, honestly, I'm a little worried it's a little bit farther north here. But we certainly have a tornado on the ground here, very close to Fayetteville, just south of Fayetteville, moving through southeastern parts of the area. If you're in North Fayetteville, I see that question in the YouTube chat. You're much better off if you're in North Fayetteville. Still a strong storm, still stay in the basement, but North Fayetteville, you should be okay. The storm's going to pass to the south of you. Springfield, Missouri, and I'm going to get to Jefferson City in a minute, but Springfield, you're okay. Is a bathroom inside of a walkout basement a safe enough place to go? Yeah, honestly, that's fine. Yeah, if you got a basement, if that's the best place to go. All right, we just got an updated radar scan here, and again, this appears to be a strong tornado. If you're just tuning in, guys, it looks like we are currently tracking a strong tornado on the ground just outside a populated area. That would be Fayetteville, Arkansas. Bad look here on radar. You can see the couplet there. That's the sign of very, very strong rotation we're watching. We have debris being confirmed to have been lifted in the air by this tornado. You can see that blue bullseye here. That's your sign that there is debris in the air, and a tornado is most certainly on the ground. Looks like it just hit Greenland, Arkansas very hard, and this tornado continues to move dangerously close to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and currently moving in the direction of some of those suburbs, including Baldwin and Wyman as well. Harris also not out of the woods here either. So several areas this tornado is moving very close to. I'm keeping a close eye on exactly the direction it's moving. Looks like it is going to spare Fayetteville, but it is a close call. I need to get to another storm here that we've been talking about. We got an updated tornado warning on our Fort Smith storm. It appears that first area of rotation we were watching has weakened a bit, but we may have a second one forming. We did have a confirmed tornado on the ground at some point here, and what we're continuing to watch is for any rotation. Right now, it looks like that threat may be shifting a bit farther south near Pensacola. If we do have a tornado, it would likely be right here, actually. Pensacola, Rock Island. This is just crossing from Oklahoma into Arkansas. So if you live just south of Fort Smith, if you live near the airport or near Barling, Arkansas, this storm is moving your direction. And while there is not a confirmed tornado anymore, it still very much has the potential to produce a tornado. And if not that, there will be damaging wind as well. One other tornado warning storm right now. This is in central Missouri. This is a confirmed tornado now, too. So we just got an update on this. I'm not seeing debris, but that doesn't mean there has not been debris at some point. But this is now a confirmed tornado in central. Yeah, there it is. Yep, there was definitely some debris here. Confirmed tornado in central Missouri. Again, what we're looking at here is an area of very broad rotation at least, but the radar beam is pretty high in the sky, so it's likely we have something stronger going that we just can't see right now. And this storm, still in some pretty rural areas. It's near Coal Camp, just past Warsaw. If this storm continues on its current path, it would be getting very close to Columbia in about an hour. Jefferson City now seeming to be a bit more on the south side of this, but I would not... Let's see here. Yeah, Jefferson City. You know what? This storm is shifting a bit farther to the north, so you should be fine if you're in Jefferson City. This is more of a concern for Columbia, and in fact, even areas a bit farther to the west, like Boonville. So if you're in Boonville, Missouri, or Columbia, Missouri, this storm we need to be watching closely. Still about an hour out from you guys. I also want to mention Sedalia, Missouri, or Sedalia, however you pronounce it. I think it's Sedalia. You need to be getting ready to head down to that safe place. Honestly, if you want to be safe, I expect this tornado warning is going to be extended, and I'd be surprised if Sedalia is not in it. So I would head down to your safe spot right now. Smithton as well, in a spot that is likely to be impacted by this storm. DMO, I don't know what the airport is, but the DMO airport, if you know that airport code, that is right in the middle of this path. So 3 very dangerous storms ongoing right now. And you guys need to be very, very vigilant if you live in any of these areas, because these storms have already done significant damage. Earlier today, we've seen a lot of damage from storms in the past couple of days. And it's sad, but this is just adding to that list. So these are things that we are keeping a close eye on, as mentioned. I see a question about Springdale. I was actually just about to talk about that area. Springdale, you are in this tornado warning right here. Let me get an update on where our tornado is. Here's the thing with Springdale. You're in the tornado warning. You should be in that, lowest floor of your house in a basement if you have one. But I don't expect that tornado is going to impact you in Springdale. The worst of this storm is actually just in the Fayetteville, or actually just south of Fayetteville. Springdale, you're on the north side, so expect a lot of wind, some heavy rain, but this tornado, it appears, is going to miss you. Fortunate for you guys out there. Not so fortunate for areas near Baldwin and Harris especially. It's becoming more clear the path of this tornado, and Harris right in the path of this. So Harris, Arkansas, if anyone lives anywhere near that, you have to be in the basement. And guys, again, I cannot emphasize how serious this situation is right now. This right here is a significant debris signature on radar. See that blue bullseye? It's hard. It's impossible to miss. That is a sign that this tornado is lifting a lot of debris into the air. And that tells you that not only is it on the ground, but it is likely a stronger tornado here too. We've been watching this storm hit Greenland, Arkansas hard. If you know anyone in Greenland, Arkansas, you should check on them, or at least be thinking about them, as they took a hard hit, it looks like. Harris right now also seemingly taking a hard hit from this storm. I mean, this tornado is crossing right between Baldwin and Harris, but Harris more so, especially on the north side of town. That is not a good look. I'm just going to put it that way. Please be thinking of these people. I'm just trying to get an idea of the direction this is headed now. So if we take a look at the last 3 frames here, this storm would be passing just south of Goshen, just north of Elkins, just south of Hinesville, and it would be moving close to Huntsville, Arkansas here. So again, this storm continuing to move to the east-northeast. It may miss some of the more populous areas here, but this leaves places like Tuttle, Arkansas, Crossroads, Buckeye as well, Hartwell. These places, Hartwell, Buckeye, Crossroads, Tuttle, you're in an extremely dangerous situation right now. You have to be protecting yourself by getting to that safe place where you live. Again, that's the lowest floor of your house, a basement if you have one. Just put space between you and the outside. We are getting a bit farther from the radar that's measuring the storm, so it's beginning to look a little more messy on radar. But there is no doubt still debris being lofted in the air by this. All right, I'm going to do my best to get some of your questions here while we wait for a new radar update. But, of course, some very dangerous weather ongoing here. I have seen Lebanon, Missouri. Let me look that up for you. I saw your question a few times. And by the way, guys, if you're just jumping on, my name's Tucker. I'm a meteorologist. I have a degree in meteorology. I work on TV in Boston as a meteorologist. So you're getting legitimate weather information here. This is all information you can trust and hopefully information that keeps you safe. So consider it following if you're watching on TikTok, because this is a good source for you, and subscribing if you're watching on YouTube. And for those of you guys who have questions about tomorrow's threat, you can find me at Tucker Weather on Instagram too. Just send me your questions. It's free. I'll give you a free weather forecast and hopefully be able to help you out. And also worth noting, if you're watching on TikTok, I'm streaming on YouTube as well. And I'm just going to let you know there's a lot less people watching on YouTube, so I'll see your questions quicker, simply put, if you go on over there. It's at Tucker Weather. Lebanon, Missouri, here you are. You're in a severe storm warning. I wouldn't expect much more than some wind here. So that could cause some minor damage, but nothing significant, luckily, out that way. You may be in a tornado watch, but the tornado threat itself is pretty low right now. Fayetteville, this storm, this dangerous storm, this tornado warning storm, the tornado has just passed Fayetteville. So if you're in Fayetteville, you're in the clear now. This is past. Springfield, Missouri, some wind, some heavy rain still possible, some flooding, but the worst of it's over in Springfield, Missouri, luckily. Most of Oklahoma is in the clear, but we still have southeastern Oklahoma. And I do want to go back to our tornado warning storm moving into the Fort Smith area in Arkansas, as we continue to watch what is a tornado warning storm out this way too. Although what I'm going to tell you is that I'm not seeing as much of an indication of a tornado now. So that's good news here. I'm not seeing debris. I'm not seeing so much wind. But still, if you're south of Fort Smith, this is a tornado warning storm. It is just crossing from Oklahoma into Arkansas. White Bluff, Crescent, Fort Chaffee, Barling. These are areas that are going to at least be hit hard by some wind and hail. There is a tornado warning, so you should be in the basement or the lowest floor of your house at least. But what we are seeing is at least the worst of the storm seemingly having weakened and been left behind in Oklahoma. Just getting an update too. I want to mention, if you're in the Kansas City area, we still have severe storms moving this direction right now too. Topeka facing some damaging wind. St. Joseph, some strong wind, possibly damaging wind. In Kansas City, that damaging wind threat is going to be increasing in about the next 45 minutes or so. 45 to an hour, we'll say. And it is a damaging wind threat. I'm not so concerned about tornadoes in Kansas City, luckily. But still, okay. They just updated this warning, but still some strong storms in Kansas City. This tornado warning was just upgraded to a significant tornado threat. Basically, it's called PDS, but it's one of their highest, the second highest level tornado warning they can issue. So this is a big deal, as we've been talking about. There's our confirmed tornado. Again, if you're in Crossroads, Buckeye, if you're in Whitener, Hinesville, Hartwell, Goshen even, Tuttle, you have no time to waste. You have to be heading down to the basement right now. This storm is very dangerous. We still have a tornado on the ground. I'm not seeing as much clarity in our debris, but it's likely there is still some debris out there, and this tornado has been confirmed to be on the ground right now, moving right at Buckeye, Arkansas. Seems to be some weakening, but our tornado would be right here. Buckeye, of course, right here, and that is where we really need to be at highest alert right now. Columbia, Missouri, I'm seeing your questions out there. You're okay in Columbia for now, but we're watching a dangerous storm move close to you. So we're gonna be circling back to Columbia. There is a tornado warning storm that would get there in about an hour if it continues moving your direction. So I am keeping an eye on that. Let's see. If you guys are in Missouri, give me some larger locations you're near, because I don't know all your towns, to be honest. I'm doing my best. What's up, Ryan? Atchison, Kansas. You should be good out that way. Atkinson, rather. I'm assuming. Yeah, you're all right out there. Actually, the worst of the weather seems to be out of there at this point. One of the things that we're keeping an eye on in Kansas is still a threat for some damaging wind, but that's really the last of the threat out there in Kansas. It's primarily just a wind threat now, not so much a tornado threat in Kansas, luckily. Fort Smith. I was just talking about Fort Smith. Dangerous storm south of Fort Smith. Fort Smith just getting into some wind, rain, and hail right now, luckily. Not so much that tornado threat in Fort Smith, just some wind and hail. St. Louis, the threat's going to increase well after midnight tonight, but I'm not expecting anything crazy in St. Louis. It's more or less just going to be some wind, heavy rain, Flooding may be the worst thing that comes out of St. Louis tonight, luckily. Oklahoma's okay unless you're in southeastern Oklahoma. Still some storms out there. Omaha, you look all right, Ashley, out there in Omaha. I'll give you a quick look out here because we still have one severe storm that just crossed into Iowa. There will be some strong storms in Omaha, but no severe weather, or if there is, there should not be a tornado in Omaha. So you're going to end up being okay out there, luckily. But I do want to keep a close eye. I'm waiting for our radar to update on our storm that we've been watching in northwestern Arkansas, because this one has produced a strong tornado. It looks as though the tornado may have lifted. You should still be prepared. I'm still seeing a storm that has the capability of producing a tornado, especially when you have this look here. You more or less, you can see basically, that would be your rotation right there when you get that kind of curved kink in a line. And that tells me you're still at risk. Hinesville, Huntsville, anyone who lives in those vicinities in Arkansas, that's where your risk is greatest right now. But it does appear the tornado threat may be temporarily decreasing. That said, we still have a significant damaging wind threat. You see that backward C shape the radar is making here? That tells you have some very strong wind driving in from the middle of the atmosphere straight down to the ground. The storm is basically pushing the strong wind down to the surface, and that's going to be causing damage without a doubt. Some at least minor damage, if not moderate damage from the wind. I got you, Ashley. I hope for a quick recovery for you. But I got you on that. Those of you guys who are in Texas, I keep seeing some more questions about Texas. Let me say this. It looks like you're going to be protected out there tonight, because when I look at Texas, here's Fort Worth and Dallas right here. I was wondering if we'd see an extension on the end of these storms. It just has not happened. So what that says to me is that if you're in Texas, you really got to be sort of right along the Red River. If you're not, even places like Denton, McKinney, Denton and McKinney, Texas, and areas to the south, you should end up in the clear here. If you're north, that's where we have the chance for some storms to still occur. So that's what I'd be watching for. If you're in northern Texas, it's more or less that threat for storms to form and continue out there. But you really got to be right in the river. All right, let me try to get to more of your questions here. Cassville, Missouri, Southwest Missouri. Thanks for the location indicator. That helps a lot. Southwest Missouri, in general, right now, the worst of it's over. Actually, if you're in Southwest Missouri, while there's still maybe some heavy rain, and there could be a strong wind gust, especially if you're near... so Cassville right now, actually, more specifically, the worst of it is actually already out. So you probably got hit by a pretty good gust of wind there. And now that you have, it's actually gone. Now, this is still heading into places like Kimberling City, Branson also facing some strong wind here, but I don't expect anything much worse than that. Just some wind. I don't see a tornado threat, luckily. You're welcome, Ryan. You're welcome. Okay, let's see. Alma, Arkansas. Tell me which part of the state. I think I know. Alma's a little bit closer to Little Rock, isn't it? Give me an idea of where I should be looking for Alma. Let's see. St. Louis, things will get a bit bumpy late tonight or early in the morning tomorrow. But in St. Louis, what I'm looking at is a much lower severe weather threat. Most of these storms will be weakening as they get into St. Louis. Just appearing right now, though, seems to be a tornado spinning up here, very possibly at least. We may have something trying to get together here on this tornado-warned storm south of Fort Smith. I'm not seeing anything on our wind. Oh, okay. So we may have a tornado forming right now just south of Fort Chaffee, moving into Central City, just south of Barling, all of these areas just south of Fort Smith. You see that there? It's kind of subtle. We're literally right next to the radar, but this may be a tornado right now, just popping out from behind the radar. So not a lot of time here, but if you live near Fort Chaffee or Central City, get down to the basement now if you aren't already there. Do we have anyone in this area right now? Because this is something that we've been watching for a little bit, and this is a dangerous storm. In the meantime, let me see some of your other questions. Yeah, we were just talking about Dallas. Actually, it seems like we got a lot of people watching from the Dallas area. If you're in Dallas, like I said, if you guys have any weather questions, you can send them to me on Instagram at Tucker Weather. Also, if you have any bachelor party recommendations, I got a bachelor party I'm planning in Dallas, so give me some shouts out there. But right now, the weather, you should be fine in Dallas. These storms are staying to your north. But again, back to that. I saw someone said they're out here. So this has really spun up quickly. Just south of Fort Chaffee, this looks like a tornado on the ground to me right here. And this has really escalated very quickly. That is where your tornado would be. More specifically, it looks like it may be hitting a neighborhood. 21st Street, 23rd Street, 27th Street. This is right along 4th Ave and 1st Ave as well. We switch to our velocity. Again, this has not updated yet, but it looks as though we have a tornado on the ground, and that is the last thing you want to see. That is a sign of debris right there. So this should be a confirmed tornado by the National Weather Service. This is hitting the Fort Chaffee area of Arkansas. I asked in chat, we have anyone in this area right now? Yeah, because this is definitely a tornado on the ground right now, moving in the direction of Central City, but it's hitting Fort Chaffee. There's a neighborhood it's going through right now, right on Roberts Boulevard, Fort Smith Boulevard. Those places being hit right now. What was that? Did I see Collier Street? I don't know exactly where Collier Street is, but I see Collier Street. Wow, you are really close to this, dude. So Collier Street's up here. You see that? I'm trying to highlight it. Let me do this. Collier Street's up here. You see that white line I'm drawing? Make it really thick. Collier Street's here. The tornado is right down here. I mean, this is literally down the road from you. It looks like you're going to be missed on Collier Street, but I hope you're in the basement or somewhere safe right now. I mean, this is as close as it gets, literally, for you. That is insane, honestly. I mean, you are literally, you could be a mere, like, several football fields away from this. That's wild. Please stay safe. Don't take any risks. Here's our tornado, again, moving right into Central City, Arkansas. Oh, gosh. This is really strengthening and coming together fast. Central City, and it just hit that neighborhood really hard. Fort Smith Boulevard, Roberts Boulevard, really anything from, Tuscany Street down to Custer Boulevard was likely just hit pretty darn hard. And that spun up really fast. We've been watching this for a bit. You can see on here, it might not be easy to tell, but you have, without a doubt, debris being picked up. This continues to move into Central City. Guys, we don't have a new tornado warning yet, but let me tell you, we just got it actually. So new tornado warning. The tornado has been confirmed. So the National Weather Service doing a great job right on top of this, giving people some good lead time, and that's why we need them right there. But this is our tornado. It is in Arkansas right now, moving through Central City, Arkansas, and it is going to continue to the north and east. This is going to be, and again, you can see here, we're looking at this this hook right here. There's your circle. It's about to go right through Central City. It's going to pass way too close for comfort if you're in Lavaca. It's probably Lavaca, isn't it? That's the most popular area it's going to go through. Let me put a tracker on this though, so we can get you guys. And this storm's moving 60 miles per hour, so it's moving fast. There was not a lot of time to prepare. I'm going to put a tracker on this though, so we can open up some of the smaller towns in the path of this. All right, let's put that on here. I'm going to drag this into the middle so you can see. So towns that are in the path of this, looks like it's a pretty rural area. I mean, we only got 3,000 population, but nonetheless, just as important to keep you guys ahead of this. Lavaca, about 5 minutes. Island, Arkansas, 10. Riverdale, Arkansas, 11. And Vesta, Arkansas, 13 minutes. So in the next 15 minutes, these are the areas that will be impacted by this storm. Coal Camp, tornado warning from Kathy. Thank you for that update. I really appreciate you throwing that in the chat. Let me move on over there. Let's see here. Yeah, so we're really, really active. Let me look up Garfield, Arkansas for you too here really quickly. Then we're going to get to that new warning. Looking up Garfield, Arkansas, because I'm seeing some questions in the YouTube chat about that. If you're in Garfield, you're okay. Let's see. You're right. Let me just double check. You're right on the border of this. Little Flock, Rogers, Garfield. I'm just trying to pinpoint exactly. So I see you're right outside Springdale. This storm is still tornado warned, but no, you're good. So you're good. Those areas, Little Flock, Rogers, Garfield, the worst of the storm is past you. Let me give you an update on this one tornado warning storm, though. Then we're going to get into that storm in Missouri that was just updated. If you're near Huntsville, Arkansas, this is a dangerous storm. It's very close to you right now. Hinesville, this would have just passed through the area, and our tornado warning has been extended to places like Berryville, Green Forest, and Hoe. This storm also moving right now, so I'll put a tracker on this one for you guys too. Then we're going to take a look at Missouri. This storm also moving 60 miles per hour. So that's the thing, guys. These storms moving fast. There is not a lot of time to react. That makes it harder for you. It makes it harder for the National Weather Service. So you really have to be prepared ahead of time. And that's what my goal is here to help you out with too, is to keep you prepared before things get bad. So, all right, here's our list of areas that will be impacted. Hartwell, Forum, Old Alabama, and Alabama. In the next 10 minutes, those areas will be impacted. Dean, Middleton, Cabanel, Rudd in the next 20. And then you got places Gobbler, Connor, Rule, Cisco, Green Forest, Hoe, and Carrollton in the next half hour. Let's get to Missouri. And while we're on our way north, I will say Springfield, you are going to be looking at some more storms and perhaps some flooding, but the severe weather is likely over for you in Springfield. Here is our tornado warning in Missouri. Sedalia is included in this. This storm, Smithton's included in this. This storm has been going for a little bit. And what I'll tell you is that there is still some clear rotation. That is where your tornado would be, and it would be moving right south of Sedalia and just outside Smithton, Missouri. This originally looked as though it was heading towards Jefferson City and Columbia. Jefferson City's all good from this. Columbia actually should be all good too. It's more so Boonville now. That's more in the path of this storm as it's moving in a direction more towards Boonville, Missouri. And that is where I am watching very closely right now. I'll put a tracker on this one as well. Oops, that is a distance reader. Actually, we can use both. But let me see how fast the storm's moving. This one's only 30 miles per hour, but that's still reasonably fast. So at 30 miles per hour, this storm is going to reach places, again, Smithton in the next 15 minutes. Otterville, Clifton City in the next half hour. Boonville is still a ways out. We're talking an hour to an hour 15 minutes in Boonville, but most certainly there is still the potential for a tornado out that way, given this storm has been rotating for a while, and there's still a lot of time, for a lot of energy at least, for it to tap into to keep going. Oh, we just got a new tornado warning. This is right outside St. Louis. I'll be honest, this one's coming as a bit of a surprise to me. But nonetheless, if you're in Festus, Missouri, or anywhere surrounding, new tornado warning. This one really more so out of the blue here, south of St. Louis, but moving towards the city. So near DeSoto, and no question why here. There's your hook very, very clearly. If you have a tornado, that's where it would be. So this really popped up very quickly. Obvious rotation here. This is moving right into Olympian Village. So again, this is not too far south of St. Louis. Surprise tornado warning in my, I at least personally, guys, I thought this was pretty unlikely to see right now. But we do have one storm popped up. It is tapping into the spin in the atmosphere. So if you're near, actually DeSoto, this is just missing you. But if you're near Festus, you have to head down to your safe spot now. We're also looking at Arnold, Missouri, and Columbia, Illinois. These areas may be impacted by this potential tornado as well. So that's close. Columbia, Missouri is all good. It's Columbia, Illinois here that we're looking at. Gosh, that was that popped up pretty quickly. Didn't expect that one. By the way, if you guys are just tuning in, just want to reintroduce myself. My name is Tucker. I'm a meteorologist. I have a degree in meteorology from Penn State. I work as a meteorologist on TV in Boston, and I'm an expert in covering any kind of weather, especially severe weather. I've covered a lot of tornado outbreaks already, and I storm chase, so I have experience covering this stuff. And I'm just saying that so you know, this is weather information you can trust. It's not hype. It's not made up. It's all very real, and you should be taking it really seriously. But you are getting your weather information from a trusted source here on TikTok or on YouTube, depending on where you're watching from. In the same breath, if you guys have any questions about the severe weather threat tomorrow, because we're talking about states like Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, and a lot of states out there in the Mid-South, portions of the Midwest, you can ask me your questions about what to expect on Instagram, @TuckerWeather. You can find me there. And if you're interested in behind the scenes TV content, I post a lot of that on Instagram too, just in case you're curious. And I will also mention, if you guys are watching on TikTok especially, I am streaming on YouTube as well. And there, simply put, are a lot less people watching on YouTube at this moment. So if you have any questions I'm not seeing, head on over to my YouTube stream. It's at Tucker Weather. I am only saying that because you'll see, well, really the biggest thing is that I'll see your questions a lot faster on YouTube. So that'll be helpful. I'm also saying it because I do post regular weather updates there. I think it could be a good resource for you. But simply put, I will see your questions a lot easier on YouTube as we continue to track storms tonight. All right. Kirksville, Missouri. I'm familiar with that area. I got family out that way. I'm watching. You still have about an hour before anything happens out there, but I'm watching that area in case something does. And you are in a spot where something could occur. We just have to keep a close eye on it because that one storm out there, it's still a ways away, but it has a lot of room to run. Festus, Missouri. We were just talking about that. You got to be in the basement or the lowest floor of your house. You got a tornado that's possibly pretty close to you here. Festus being right here where I just put that box. It appears this tornado is going to end up passing just to the west of Festus, but this is going to be a really close call. Yeah, let me take a look at Buffalo, Missouri for you. The good news, these two tornado-warned storms in Arkansas, it appears they may be temporarily slowing down a bit. Joplin, Missouri, you're all good out there in Joplin, Missouri, luckily. Joplin, you're in a spot where the worst of this weather actually just never quite materialized. And I know you got some storms, you got some heavy rain, but bearing any surprises, you are done with the worst of this now. Looking at Buffalo, Missouri, I see you north of Springfield out there. If you're in Buffalo and Lebanon too, you are in this severe storm warning, but the severe weather threat has ended in Buffalo and Lebanon, at least for now. You know, I actually, if you're in Buffalo or Lebanon, Missouri, I don't expect you're going to see any more severe weather, and the tornado threat is very low. I'm not really worried about that. You guys should be okay tonight, but I would be prepared because there may be some flooding out there too. Wentzville, I'm keeping a close eye on, but you're not going to be impacted by that storm near Missouri. If anything, that will pass to your east. So, you're all good in Wentzville. Lake of the Ozark, you're okay. Some strong wind moving in right now, but Ozark, outside of some strong wind, no tornado threat. Could be some minor damage, but nothing beyond that. All right, let's see what else we have here. I'm looking at Kansas City right now. I just want to give you an update on Kansas City, too, since it's been a minute. Some strong storms moving into Kansas City. We do have some wind, some hail. This includes St. Joseph as well. There is a threat for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That'll cause some minor damage, but nothing significant in the Kansas City area. Topeka, I see you getting the storms right now. Right overhead in Topeka. Could be some flooding, but what you're getting now is as bad as it'll get. But I would be prepared for some flooding if you're out in Topeka. Fort Smith, you should be all good in Fort Smith. I'm getting to all your questions in the YouTube chat now. I'm doing my best to answer all of them on there. Again, the YouTube stream is at Tucker Weather as well. I'm doing my best to answer your questions. Yeah, Fort Smith, things are getting better out there. Springfield, Missouri, same thing. Worst of it's over in Springfield. Moberly, Missouri, expect storms tonight, but I do not expect a tornado. St. Joseph, Missouri, the worst of it's moving in right now. Expect some strong wind, and there will be some hail too, but nothing too bad out there. Bentonville, the worst of it is over in Bentonville. You're in the clear now out there too. Plattsburgh, and thanks for giving me the location marks too for naming some of these places. Plattsburgh, between St. Joseph and Kansas City, also some wind gusts and some hail, but nothing beyond that in Plattsburgh. Collinsville, Illinois, by St. Louis, Missouri. Collinsville, we do need to keep an eye on. You still have some time, but we have that one tornado-warned storm, and actually, this is the most active storm right now. But Collinsville, I know you're right out here on the right side of my screen there. If this storm continues, it would be moving pretty darn close to Collinsville, and I'm also keeping an eye on St. Louis as well because it'd be moving pretty darn close to St. Louis, too. Actually, you know what? It does look like it may be heading a little more north. So this would actually take it into the St. Louis suburbs. I'm not convinced this storm is going to continue producing a tornado, and I don't even believe it's confirmed. But it will have the potential. And I'm just hoping St. Louis metro area is not impacted again. I've already had enough over there. O'Fallon, this would miss you, luckily, this storm at least. But there may be some storms later on tonight. Um, Whiteman Air Force Base. Let me look at Whiteman. That's out by Springfield, right? No, it's not, is it? I see it now. Whiteman Air Force Base. I'm seeing you out kind of close to Warrensburg. You're okay out there. There will be storms later tonight, though, so expect stormy weather, but the severe weather threat is already decreasing where you are. But do be on alert. Make sure emergency alerts are turned on your phone. Moberly, Missouri. Yeah, no, Giselle, you should be okay out that way. Even I believe Moberly should be all right. At least if you're within 20 minutes of Columbia, you should be all right. They did just extend a severe storm warning into Boonville. It does not appear they're continuing the tornado warning. So just a severe storm now. Boonville, things improving in that this tornado warning storm, it seems to be slowing down a bit, but expect some strong wind. And we're going to keep an eye on this storm in case there's any more rotation that picks up, because that could still happen. How many touchdowns are there? I don't know at this moment, Haley. And yes, you're welcome for answering your questions, and I'm doing my best to catch up to everyone who's asked that I haven't responded to yet. Festus tornado is not confirmed to be on the ground. From everything I'm seeing, though, let's inspect this a little closer. And guys, right here, if there is a tornado, you see that spot I just circled? That is exactly where it would be on radar. You can see the hook. You hear meteorologists talk about hooks? I'm a meteorologist. I talk about hooks all the time when I cover severe weather on TV. And you see that right there? You see that hook at the end of this storm? That's what we're referring to. And what that is a sign that you have rotation, basically. Actually, to be more exact, you have rotation going like this. And that hook forms because you're basically pulling your rain into the updraft here. And that updraft is where the tornado would be. Let's see. To me, if there is a decent chance this is producing a tornado. If it is, though, I doubt it's very strong. And if this tornado is on the ground, and that's an if still. Let me just see if I can get a direction on this. I'm gonna put a tracker on this actually, guys, so we can plan out where it's going. Let me see how fast this storm's been. 20 miles per hour, so it's a slower moving storm. Looking at the Festus storm outside the St. Louis area right now. I'm going to put a tracker on this one, like I said. All right. Gotcha. So this, I'm going to put in 25. If it continues on the path it's moving right now, there you can see where it's headed. So again, some of the more metro area of St. Louis included. There is not a confirmed tornado. Let me make that clear. But there is the potential for a tornado here. That's where it'd be moving. So that's a lot of places, clearly. Festus included, though. I know that's a bigger spot out there. Arnold included. Oakville, Melville, Sunset Hills. I got family out there. The timing is a little bit off on that tracker, but let me update. Oops, I keep drawing trackers. One moment. While we zoom in, we put another tracker on this. Okay, so again, here we are. If this tornado continues moving, this possible tornado continues moving in the same direction. The timing is correct on this one now, too. So Imperial, about 35 minutes. Barnhart, 28. Oakville, 50. Melville, 60. Fenton, 60. Sunset Hills, it's also 60 minutes. So it's a little ways away out. Crestwood, 65. Kirkwood, 65 minutes. Desparais, Webster Groves, an hour, 10 minutes. I assume you pronounce it Desparais out there. I should probably know that. I got family in St. Louis. St. Louis downtown will be about an hour, 15, hour, 20 minutes. So it's still some time. But it is moving into a more populated area. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that one especially. Let's see. I'm trying to get some more of your questions. I'm looking in the YouTube chat again. Rolla, Missouri. I would expect the possibility for some flooding and some strong wind. I don't believe the tornado threat's very high, but there is still a chance. So yeah, I want you to be on alert. Buffalo at around 9:20, you should be okay out there in Buffalo. Buffalo, Missouri, that tornado threat's actually pretty low. They have once again confirmed the tornado on this storm. So that tells us, again, we still have a very dangerous storm. I don't see it myself personally, but we do have a very dangerous storm continuing to move through northwestern Arkansas. You can see this is moving into some places like Green Forest. I believe that's pronounced Ho right here, Hough. Our tornado would be to the south and east, south and west rather, moving to the northeast right now. So still a tornado warning storm out there in northwest Arkansas. We have a tornado warning in west central Arkansas, though again on this one, the rotation has weakened a bit, but I'm still keeping an eye on some areas. This line of storms very much has the possibility. Actually, that's intriguing right there. It's very subtle, but that could be. I'm not saying that's a tornado, but that's an area of rotation for sure. You see that brighter pink and that darker red color side by side? It's subtle, but let's watch that. That would be moving into Altus and Denning, Arkansas. So Altus and Denning, that's where that segment of the line is moving into right now. Certainly something to keep tabs on. And that tornado warning storm in central Missouri, that warning looks like it is about to expire, which is good news. Still some severe storms moving into Kansas City, though. A lot of wind associated with those, heavy rain, and not as much lightning as I would have thought. But still, really the bigger threat out by Kansas City, St. Joseph, in addition to the wind, is the flooding threat, too. Let me take a look at Fulton, Missouri for you. I'll get to more of your questions here. Just look this up. Fulton, you'll be fine. Just expect it to be stormy. We just actually got a new tornado warning, though. New tornado warning in south central Missouri. This one is really out in the Ozarks. Is there even anyone in this warning? I don't know what the population is on this, but this is like out there. So, Susanna, Loring, Durbin, St. George, Jerktail, Burney, Ford, Mingsville. These are all places in this new warning here in south central Missouri. If this storm continues to move on the path that it's on right now, this would get closer to Sherrill, Robidoux, eventually Salem. Still a ways off from those areas, but we are watching this general area right now too. Okay, so they warned it because we have some rotation basically going like this, right in the line. It's not a lot, but it's fair warning. It's a fair warning for sure. Not that they need my approval. I'm going to go back to our storm near Festus, give you an update. Still some rotation, but I don't think they're going to continue this tornado warning unless we get more. Like I said, I don't believe they'll continue this tornado warning unless we get more rotation because it seems a little more diffuse. But this storm does not look like it's going anywhere, so we're going to continue to watch it as it moves into the St. Louis suburbs, moving through areas south of the city right now. Okay, let's see what else we have here. A little bit quieter now, but still a lot of, got a couple areas of strong storms moving through western and northwestern Arkansas. Cardonale. Let me know what you see out there. Jeff City, it should be all right. Heavy rain, could be some flooding, but I don't expect too much beyond that. Jefferson City should be all right. No, Texas is all good right now. I can tell you that much. For sure. Let's see some other places people are watching from. I see a lot of you Kansas folks. I see you Kansas folks in the chat here. Let's take a look at what we got going on. One of the things I was talking about with Kansas is that the tornado threat's actually pretty low out there in Kansas. What I am watching for in Kansas, though, is certainly still some wind and flooding. So if you're in Kansas City, you got probably about 30 minutes. If you can go to the grocery store or do whatever you need to in the next 30 minutes, I would do it quick because there may be some roads that flood over as this rain gets in. Otherwise, severe weather threat appears pretty low, but Kansas City definitely is going to be facing some stronger wind. And again, that flooding threat. Shouldn't be anything crazy. Some minor damage at worst, most likely here. But that's what I'm looking at for Kansas City. I'll be storm chasing next week. I might be out near Kansas City. So if you guys have any good food recommendations, because I've been to Kansas City a few times. I got family out there. I love the barbecue. I love my burnt ends. I know you Kansas City folks are all about that. But if you guys have any recommendations, send them my way. Again, if you have any weather questions about the threat tomorrow, by the way, for like Kentucky or Tennessee or you have any barbecue recommendations. I've been to Slaps. That's where my family took me. But yes, you can find me on Instagram at Tucker Weather. I don't really see TikTok DMs that much. I don't check them. But Instagram, if you guys have any recommendations, just send them to me. I'm at Tucker Weather everywhere. I would really appreciate that, though. Because I'm always looking to eat at the good local places. I'm not looking for chains, I mean, usually we're eating at fast food restaurants a lot when we're storm chasing. It's just, I don't like to eat at fast food places, but you do what you got to do. Let me see. I saw questions. Seen some questions about Michigan, Illinois. So for tomorrow, Jack Stack. I have not heard of Jack Stack. Send that to me, so I got it. If you're in Illinois or Michigan tomorrow, I'm going to show you tomorrow's threat here. Like I said, if you have weather questions about the threats tomorrow, my Instagram is at Tucker Weather. I do a lot of personal forecasts there. So if you want to be added to the first personal forecast list, just send me a message and I'll respond to you. That's all you got to do. Michigan, you're actually all good tomorrow. Tomorrow's threats really Urbana-Champaign, Illinois, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, those areas and farther south. So for the most part, we're looking at, I've been to Joe's. I had a full rack of ribs once at Joe's. I didn't eat for 24 hours after. It was amazing. I'm not like a huge guy either. That was a lot of food for me. That was crazy. I got some stories about Joe's. Man, I got the full rack. Seriously, man, that was crazy. Anyway, let's see. So we have, Urbana, Champaign, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and areas south. So southern Illinois, southern Indiana, especially our threat's going to be present in northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, almost all of Tennessee tomorrow, and a good chunk of Kentucky too in this greatest threat tomorrow. That's level 3 risk, mainly for wind and also tornadoes too. And speaking of tornadoes, we did just get a new tornado warning, so I do want to take a look at that now. This out here, let me take away that Outlook overview. There we go. So this, the same storm we've been talking about for a little while here, they extended this tornado warning. So really no new information here, but it's that same storm that was near Green Forest, near Ho, Arkansas. If there is a tornado, it would be right around right around here where I'm circling. That's where it would be. Continuing to move this direction. So Bellefonte, Harrison, Bergman, Lead Hill, Diamond City. All of you guys, and if you live anywhere in the vicinity of those places, you're in this new tornado warning. It's time to head down to the lowest floor of your house. A basement if you have one. Just put space between you and those outside walls and windows. Keep me updated on Cardona Lay. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Branson, heavy rain, some strong wind right now, but what you're getting now is the worst of it. Oklahoma, especially Miami, unless you're in, so I don't know exactly where Miami, Oklahoma is, to be honest, but it's really just far southeastern Oklahoma now. If you're not in southeastern Oklahoma, you're done with storms the rest of tonight. So that's good news for you guys in Oklahoma. Again, a lot of these storms over. Okay, let's see what we got next here. Champaign, Illinois. Here's what I'll say about Champaign. Ready? Look at this. It's real quiet in Champaign tonight. Tomorrow there may be some strong storms, but nothing too crazy out there. It really shouldn't get too bad in Champaign. Let's see what else we got here. I do want to go back to our storm that is tornado warned near St. Louis. By the way, do we have anyone from Dallas, anyone from the DFW in here? I got some questions for you guys too. Whether you're watching on let's see, Jack Stacks. Yeah, so 2 people now have told me Jack Stacks, by the way. Ryan, thanks for that shout out. Jack Stacks and Lenexa. I will add that to my list. Okay. So the other thing I'm curious, so I'll be out. I'm landing in, do we have anyone from Denver? Do we have anyone from Denver in chat? I feel like that's might be a little more likely on TikTok than YouTube right now, just looking at numbers. But Denver, I'm curious on some food options too. All right, we got one in Dallas. I'll be in Dallas in a few weeks, so I'm looking for good food options out there too. Is Sam's good? That's what I've heard in Dallas. Let's see. Yeah, if you're in Kansas City right now, we just switched to Kansas City, by the way. Kansas City, St. Joseph, definitely going to be some strong wind out there. The NWS has tornado tagged these, but I don't see much in the way of tornadoes forming personally here. Looking at what is some strong wind, some heavy rain as these storms move into St. Joseph and Kansas City right now. That's where we have the most activity in terms of wind at this moment. Let me look up Morris Mill for you and Joplin. Joplin, actually, you're all good in Joplin. Believe it or not, Joplin getting through this without too much of an issue tonight. So Joplin, you're all good. You are all good out there in Joplin. If you guys, by the way, I'll say it again. You guys who are in the TikTok stream right now, I'm also streaming on YouTube at Tucker Weather. I'll see your questions a lot faster. I'm just letting you know. I'll see them a lot faster if you find me on YouTube because there's less people watching on there. Morse Mill. You should be okay, at least right now. There will be more storms later. It's going to get windy. There's going to be a lot of rain. Yeah, Wentzville, same deal. You're all right now, but I still expect storms to come into play where you are later. And our previously tornado-warned storm near the St. Louis area, really not looking that impressive anymore. So we're certainly trending the right direction here. Does not look as bad as it did before. We only have one tornado warning in effect right now. That's really good news. So I can get some more of your questions while we wait for our radar to update or wait for something to get a little more interesting. But yeah, Wentzville, you're okay. Just some storms out there in Wentzville, Missouri. Nothing severe right now. Severe weather threat is kind of low later too. Troy, again, same deal. Troy's in a spot where you're likely to get storms, but it's more likely some wind and nothing too far beyond that. I'm using a radar app. You're seeing this is Radar Omega. It's one of many apps that you can track radar on. I use a bunch, but this just happens to be the one I'm on right now. Branson, the worst is over in Branson. You just got some heavy rain for a little while tonight. Jefferson City, severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson City. If you're in Jeff City, I expect it to get windy. Let me actually take a closer look at Jefferson City, though. Definitely expect to get windy, first off. There may be some hail. And that's going to be there in about the next that's going to be there in the next few minutes. So if you're in Jefferson City, things are ramping up right now in Jefferson City. So nothing too bad, but 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts will do some minor damage out there. So definitely be on alert, ready for that. Okay, Russellville, Arkansas. In Iowa, you're okay too. Just some storms tonight. The severe weather threat is not super high in Iowa, luckily. A lot of the storms that are out there right now are just sort of squashing the severe weather threat. Russellville, I'm taking a look at for you right now too. If you're in Russellville, you're probably getting it pretty good right now, or you're about to. So here's Russellville. You're about to be right in the thick of it. So it's about to get very windy, very rainy. But what you're getting now, you're right in it. This is the worst of it right now. I wouldn't expect anything worse than what you have right now. Tornado warning, Barnhart. Oh wow, 2 tornado warnings just popped out near Kansas City. One for part of St. Joseph. Do we still have Brianna on the YouTube? I know she's from there. Let me see. We'll get to more of your questions in just a moment in Missouri. But I do want to mention we have 2 new tornado warnings. These just came into effect here. One includes the St. Joseph area. You can see this area of rotation just south of St. Joseph. Nothing too impressive, but if there is a tornado, it would be headed towards the Saxon vicinity. So just south of St. Joseph is where we have a tornado warning in effect right now. Certainly, it's mainly strong wind right here, but we do have to keep an eye on that. Another tornado warning was also just issued. This is between St. Joseph and Kansas City, closer to Camden Point. And this, I'm not seeing as much for, to be honest. But nonetheless, there is a tornado warning near Camden Point as well. Otherwise, there's no confirmed tornadoes. I believe the National Weather Service is just seeing some areas that they want to make people aware of are possibly going to produce. So if you're south of St. Joseph, that's where you should be heading down to the basement now. And I don't expect this is going to be anything too crazy, but there is definitely a chance, and I want you to be prepared. And I miss you guys out there in the Chippewa Valley too, Brian. I miss Wisconsin a lot, actually. All right, a lot of St. Louis people. Let's get to your St. Louis questions. I got family out in Sunset Hills. I love St. Louis. Big Cardinals fan here. Let's go Cards. Let's go Cards. Actually, I'm a huge Cardinals fan. That's like my baseball team, even though I'm from Boston. Huge Cardinals fan. Team has been way outperforming my expectations so far, too. Way outperforming them. I'm happy about it. The bats have been great. I don't know where the bats have come from because the lineup on paper outside of Willie Contreras doesn't look too incredible. But St. Louis, some storms moving in right now, but I don't expect anything too bad out here. Some downpours, maybe some small hail, but I'm not seeing anything severe. Yeah, Brianna, there you are. I was just saying, we have that tornado warning in the St. Joseph area right now. You guys are just jumping on, by the way. We're talking about this area a little earlier. What I'm looking at is for the St. Joseph area, we're looking south of St. Joseph, and if there is a tornado, it would likely be brief and weak. Not seeing any very strong areas of rotation, except for this spot south of the city, moving towards Saxon. That's probably the worst place you could be right now. But I do believe if something was to occur, it would not actually hit St. Joseph itself. I do know there are tornado watches in Missouri. So warnings are more imminent than warnings, just to clarify that. I know some people are less familiar, but that's sort of how it works. Lake of the Ozarks, you're all good out there. Springfield, we were talking about not too long ago also. Springfield, you should be okay if you're in Missouri. I know you guys had some pretty good rain earlier, but I'm not looking at too much more out there. Also been out by Lake of the Ozarks, Springfield, Branson. Used to go there a bit as a kid. You guys should be okay out there, though. And by the way, if you're just jumping on, just so you know, I am a meteorologist. You are getting legitimate weather information here. If you have any questions I'm not getting to in chat, you can always send me your questions at Tucker Weather on Instagram. I'll make sure to get back to you there. Also, if you're curious about the behind the scenes of TV life, you can get into what it's like out there too on Instagram. And if you're watching on TikTok too, I'm also streaming on YouTube at Tucker Weather, so you can check that out. There's a lot less people on there right now, so I'll see your questions faster. I want to mention we just got a new tornado warning. It's out here in west central Arkansas. Got an area of rotation right here. It's moving towards Altus and Weediker Village. I think I pronounced that right. This is certainly nothing confirmed, but it is an area to watch. And this is going to continue to move to the east. So eventually places like Coal Hill and Clarksville could be included in the warning if one is extended. Kansas City, Missouri. We talked about Kansas City just a minute ago. Kansas City, you got those storms there just bearing down on you. And St. Joseph, by the way, the worst of that storm has now moved past most of St. Joseph. If you're in Kansas City, you still got storms coming in. You got about 20 to 30 minutes if you're in Kansas City still before that severe weather reaches you. Honestly, Kansas City, though, flooding is just as big a concern as the wind for me. I do believe you could see some pretty good flooding in Kansas City here. Let's take a look at Texas for you guys. If you're in Fort Worth, if you're in Dallas, these storms staying to the north of you. Staying to the north of you, so you're all right out there. Honestly, most of Texas getting through this without any issues. Got a severe storm warning in Gainesville. I actually have stayed in Gainesville like 3 or 4 cumulative nights. I think maybe 3. Spent a lot of time in Gainesville, Texas, randomly. Storm chasing. Okay, let's see here. By the way, I'll also mention I am going on a week-long storm chase next week. And if you guys are interested in some of the behind the scenes of that stuff, feel free to tag along. I'll be posting my updates on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram. Most of my updates go on Instagram, guys. So if you're looking for some extra weather content, if you want to learn anything about weather, just send it my way. I'll see, like I said, I see stuff on Instagram a lot more. It's at Tucker Weather. But of course, right now we are simply tracking severe weather here on TikTok and on YouTube. We may have a tornado trying to form right here near Maxie, as I said earlier. Maxie, St. Joseph area. This would be moving between Evansville and Saxon. So this is where we could have a tornado trying to get going out by Maxie. Let's see. Arnold and Imperial. I don't see anything near Arnold and Imperial. You're all right out that way. You're all right out that way. The biggest concern at this moment is by Maxie. This is right in the border of Kansas and Missouri. It is south of St. Joseph, Saxon, Evansville, Garrettsburg in line next if there is a tornado to be impacted. So you guys got to really be careful out there. And, head down to the lowest floor of your house. Protect yourself. St. Louis is okay. Just a general thunderstorm over St. Louis. No tornado. Oof, and this is beginning to look a bit more like we may have a tornado on the ground here. I can't confirm it. I cannot confirm it. But just outside Maxie, that is an area of strong rotation. So this, south of St. Joseph, this is moving right towards Evansville. So we're right outside St. Joseph, Missouri. And this is headed for Evansville. So we are right south of St. Joseph. And yeah, Evansville would be the place if this storm is producing a tornado. That's where it would be headed right now. So Evansville, if you're out there, got to head down to the basement. That's a safe place. Yeah, Stillwater, Oklahoma, you're all good. Yeah, good question. So what's the difference between a watch and a warning when it comes to tornadoes? Do you guys know the difference between a watch and a warning? Because there is a really big difference. So the biggest difference between a watch and a warning is that, think about it this way. I see that you may have seen this example on the internet a lot. Oh, just got a severe storm warning in St. Louis. We're going to get to that in just a moment here. But the biggest difference between a watch and a warning is this. Like I said, you may have seen this on social media, but imagine you're going to bake a cake, okay? If you walk into the kitchen and say you're someone else in your household is going to bake a cake. If you walk into the kitchen and you see flour and you see eggs and you see, I don't know how you bake a cake. You see a mixing machine, whatever. If you see that stuff sitting on the counter, that's what a watch is. It means the ingredients, the necessary tools are there to bake a cake. Or in our case, the necessary tools are there to make a storm that could produce a tornado. But that's what a watch is. A warning is if you walk into that kitchen and you can smell a cake cooking in the oven and it's ready to come out. That's what a warning is. It means that basically everything has already come together and, it's ready to occur now. And sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes maybe that cake's got 10 more minutes to cook in the oven and you don't end up getting a tornado. But more often than not, really, the biggest difference is that with a watch, just means the ingredients are there. It might not happen now. It might happen hours later. With a warning, that means it's getting ready to happen now. So that's why warnings are a lot more serious than watches. All right, let me take a look at Evansville. We're going to get to more of your questions. I just want to do a quick update on some of your questions about tomorrow. So our threat tomorrow is going to be more so just to the east and even to the south of what we're looking at now. Evansville right here. That's Indiana. Louisville, Kentucky here. Bloomington, Indiana right here. We got Nashville, Tennessee. For some reason, not my map, but right here. So these are areas that are going to be in the threat zone for tomorrow. Like I said, if you have questions, I'm not going to go too into detail on tomorrow's threat. But if you have questions about tomorrow, like I said, you can find me at Tucker Weather on Instagram. Just ask me your questions there. Throw me a follow if you will too. And I'll respond to you guys and make sure you have all the information you need. Basically, I'll give you a personal forecast, absolutely free of charge. Memphis also in a spot that's going to be facing severe weather. Huntsville included in this too. Chattanooga. Tomorrow's threat, like I said, is farther to the south and east. So this is what we'll be watching for tomorrow. If you are looking for a more detailed update as well, I've said it before, but my YouTube is at Tucker Weather. I'm streaming live there now. I'll see your questions on YouTube a lot faster than I will on TikTok, but also worth noting, I post regular forecast updates every other day on YouTube. I keep you ahead of these storms. It's a good place to get weather information as well. We did just get that severe storm warning for portions of St. Louis. It's mainly for hail and also some strong wind, and this storm just went through Sunset Hills, so may have been some hail up there in Sunset Hills. Des Prairies out there too. Creve Coeur. I'm going to pronounce these so badly. Clayton. I'm not even going to try. Maryland Heights, St. John, Lambert out there, the airport. All places that may be impacted by the severe storm in the St. Louis area. Some of the areas that were just hit by the tornado are in for this severe storm too. But I'm not expecting a tornado, just some hail and some wind. Tell me where Bentonville is, and I know where Bentonville is, Arkansas. If you're in Bentonville, let me double check. Yeah, Bentonville, you're good. You can go to sleep out there in Bentonville. You're clear for the night. Columbia, Missouri, not quite clear yet. Still looking at a severe storm moving into Columbia right now. I don't expect a tornado, but there will be some strong wind, some heavy rain, so do stay on alert out there. Yeah, Evansville's threat tomorrow. Evansville, at least if you're in Indiana, that threat is going to be greatest. More so in the afternoon tomorrow. Mainly a wind threat, but also tornadoes are still possible, so I'll be watching that closely. Let's see what else we have here. Yep, if there's a tornado watch, very, very normal. Most of you guys watching are probably in a tornado watch. It's a tornado warning that you really need to be watching for. A tornado watch is just somebody saying, hey, just so you know, there could be a tornado today. A tornado warning is like someone saying, hey guys, this is really bad. This could happen right now. So that's the difference. If it's a watch, that's okay. That's all right. If it's a warning, that's a different story. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Nashville actually did have a severe storm tonight. The threat is pretty decent in Nashville, but that'll be tomorrow, mainly in the afternoon. So tomorrow in the afternoon, that's what I'm looking at for Nashville. Sirens going off in agency. Which state? By the way, I do want to circle back to our tornado warning storm here in Arkansas. I'm still not seeing that much, but Altus, Denning, and Whitaker, that is where we have our... Okay, thanks for that. That's where we have our tornado warning. If you're in any of those places, you should be heading down to the basement, basically. Let's get to Sedalia, Missouri. Some of those other places near Jefferson City, Columbia. That's where we have our active severe storm in the central part of the state. Sedalia, you should be all good now, actually. You should be okay out there. Jefferson City, you got some strong winds, some heavy rain. If you live anywhere near Jefferson City, even up towards Columbia, it's this one storm passing through. It's going to bring wind, it's going to bring rain, but I don't expect anything too crazy. O'Fallon right now, some strong storms are near you, but they're actually missing. So O'Fallon later tonight, the severe weather threat's actually pretty low out there, but I can't completely rule out some strong wind, even a little bit of flooding. Festus is okay now. Festus is okay. If you live in some smaller places, guys, give me a reference point. Tell me, do you live like east of St. Louis? Do you live north of Springfield? I'll be able to answer your questions a lot more efficiently with some pointers like that. Let's see. Amber earlier was reporting thunder and lightning in St. Louis. Madison, Missouri. Yeah, you're okay out there. I'm sorry, I'm getting some of these questions late for everyone who's watching right now on YouTube. Near the airport out there, plan for some hail. Yeah, Brianna, I was just saying, out in St. Joseph, it looked like there actually was something brief that occurred south of St. Joe's. Right here. This would have been right by Maxie, right just to the east of Maxie. Doesn't seem like there's much out there, but that is where something seemed to have occurred to me briefly. It looks like the interstate would have crossed the interstate close to Maxie and then moved on. But the storm didn't actually end up... Well, the storm went through St. Joseph, but the tornado part, if there was one, it looks like it would have just pretty much stayed to the south. Very interesting. Hopefully the only this year. One of the things I am seeing, though, if you're in northern Missouri, we are seeing this line begin to bow out a bit, and that bowing out tells us that it may be maximizing its wind potential. And so Plattsburgh, Smithville, even Kansas City, especially if you're in the northern suburbs of Kansas City, this means a higher chance for some minor to moderate damaging wind out there. Branson, Missouri, I actually got some family out in Branson right now. You guys are okay. You guys got through the worst of it already. Yellville, Arkansas. Skylar, tell me where Yellville is relative to something bigger, and I'll be able to give you a better answer. Yeah, another question about Evansville. Evansville, Indiana. The threat's going to increase more tomorrow. We did just get a new tornado warning, though. Evansville, it's mainly wind and a tornado threat tomorrow, but in the afternoon. Moderate, like medium level threat. Okay, let's see. With this new tornado warning, this is right in the middle of the Mark Twain Forest, of course. By Caledonia, Missouri. Moving towards Potosi and Mineral Point, Missouri, is this tornado warning storm. I don't expect this to really get into any populated areas anytime soon. But the important thing with these storms here, I want to make a note of this. If you live anywhere near St. Louis, while I am saying the severe weather threat is reasonably low, any of these storms could produce a brief tornado. And they are moving in the direction of, that is Wentzville, St. Charles, Chesterfield, St. Louis. So the severe weather threat certainly is still real, and the tornado threat is there. It's not going to be like it was the last couple of days. I'm watching, but, and you should be prepared, but I don't expect it's going to be anything too crazy. South side of St. Louis, doing all right now, but watching, staying alert for the next few hours because there could still be some possible tornadoes, but mainly it's just going to be heavy rain and wind. But there is still the possibility, so that's why I want you to just be on alert over the next few hours before this threat decreases. Mountain Home, Arkansas. Yeah, let's look up that area here. I'm going to switch to our radar. Let me take a look at that. Thank you for that, by the way. That just, it helps a lot. All right. Hey, let me know what state you guys are all from. Just drop the initials in the chat, even if you're watching on TikTok or if you're watching on YouTube. Let me know. Kylie says it's getting kind of rough out there in Jeff City. That makes sense. You're getting into the storm. It's going to be about 15 minutes of this. We'll call it about 10 minutes. So just get ready. Mountain Home, you should be preparing for some strong wind without a doubt. But this storm moving in is actually weakening right now, which is good. So here's what I'm going to say. You have about 45 minutes in Mountain Home before the storm hits. When it does, it's going to bring some strong wind, some heavy rain, but I don't expect any tornadoes right now. Just some strong wind when that storm gets in and some good rain. Yeah, most of Missouri is not going to end up seeing tornadoes, even though you're in that watch. If you're in a tornado watch, though, you should stay prepared all evening. And then let's see what we got. Mexico, Missouri. If you are, I don't see Mexico on my map, but if you're northeast of Jefferson City, you will almost definitely be hit by this storm. So expect strong wind if you're in Mexico. It's going to get windy out there. It's going to be very rainy. There's going to be a lot of lightning, but you should be. I see you. I didn't go far north. Thanks for that one. Still, this storm is going to move through Mexico. If there is damage, it should be pretty minor. But this is going to move in your direction, and it should be there in about 45 minutes out there. Let's see what else we have going on here. Cedar Rapids, Iowa's really okay tonight. I'm not seeing much out there. We're not going to see much out there. You're okay. Going to be storms in Iowa, but you're going to end up being okay out there. Illinois, that threat's a little bigger tomorrow. Illinois, it's more so tomorrow. So if you're in Illinois, though, especially southern Illinois, that's where our threat is going to be. Kentucky, same thing. That threat really comes into play tomorrow. So if you're in Kentucky, expect things to get a bit busier tomorrow, but you're going to be okay tonight. Pea Ridge, Arkansas. Tell me what Pea Ridge is near, and I can give you a better answer there. Columbia, looks like this storm should be almost out of there. Once it is, actually, Columbia, you got about. The storm's just arriving. The storm is weakened a lot moving into Columbia, so you're going to get heavy rain. You're going to hear thunder here. It's going to be breezy. It's going to be leaves on the ground everywhere, but I don't expect anything too bad out that way. You should be all right in Columbia. Once this storm is through, things are going to improve very quickly. Greencastle. I know where Greencastle is. I used to work at Fox 59 in Indianapolis. Tomorrow, the threat out there is on the medium to low side. So you should plan for some storms and a chance for severe weather, but know that threat for severe weather, it's lower than it has been the past few days out there in Greencastle and a lot of central Indiana. It's the same deal, a little bit lower than it has been the past few days. All right, I'm gonna reintroduce myself here real quick. Just say hi to everyone. What's up, guys? My name's Tucker. I'm a meteorologist. I work on TV in Boston. I have a degree in meteorology from Penn State. If you guys are looking for a good source for weather information, like I said, this can be a trusted source for you. You're getting real weather info here from an expert in this. I've been tracking storms for a while tonight, and are going to continue to track storms. I'm streaming here on TikTok, streaming here on YouTube as well. But like I said, if you're watching here on TikTok, consider following. If you're watching on YouTube, consider subscribing. If you have any weather questions about tomorrow's threat, you can find me at Tucker Weather on Instagram. And if you follow me there and send me a DM, I'll respond to you. Free personal forecast. Pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. And like I said, if you're watching here on TikTok and you're looking for regular weather updates, you can find me on YouTube at Tucker Weather as well. And if you have any weather reports on Twitter, let me switch you back to radar. That's probably what you want to see. All right, so here we are. Back to our radar. Like I said, if you have any weather pictures you want to report, actually you can send that to me on Instagram or Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and I'll share them. I'll retweet you or something. All right, the tornado in Fort Smith looks like Fort Smith turned out okay, but there are areas south of Fort Smith that were hit pretty hard. So that was one of our bigger tornadoes that we saw earlier. Let's see here. St. Joseph, Missouri now is in the clear. Those tornado warnings have expired, but that wind threat has increased. As I'd mentioned before, this segment is bowing out here, and as it bows out, you're able to drive stronger wind through the storm down to the ground. So that's been one of our concerns out there, is that we've seen that storm strengthen a bit, and we certainly have to keep an eye on exactly how substantial it will be as it moves into northern Missouri and how long it's going to produce wind like that, because it could for a little while, and that would do some damage in the northern part of the state. Rolla, you're really doing all right out there. There's still plenty of storms heading into Rolla, but the severe weather threat is not very high, luckily, if you're in Rolla. Seeing some of our stronger storms get into central Missouri now. Seeing a pretty good line of storms getting through central Arkansas, well, more so northwest Arkansas still, moving into central Arkansas. Tornado threat is generally decreasing across the entire area, so good news right there, without a doubt. Okay, let's see here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I've been working on that that severe weather warning bar. If you guys are watching on TikTok, I actually have a live severe weather warning bar. So if you want to see every warning that's coming out as it's coming out, again, at Tucker Weather on YouTube. It's really cool. I'm going to be honest. I love streaming on TikTok. It's still my favorite place to stream. But my YouTube stream coming together, I think it's pretty high quality. So if you're interested in looking at it, it's, again, at Tucker Weather. I'm just throwing it out there for you guys on TikTok. Let's see here. Yeah, anyway, the severe weather ticker. I'm just curious what you guys who are watching on YouTube, what you think of that. If you think it's stupid, go ahead and say it. But I think it's cool. That those are literally real time warnings that are as they get released by the National Weather Service, they show up there on my my little lower third there, or whatever you want to call them, my ticker, like that one. Yeah, just if you guys are watching YouTube, let me know what you think of my little yellow warning bar. All right, let's see. Lawrence in St. Louis. Yeah, no, I understand that the tornado that hit St. Louis on Friday was pretty intense, for being in that significant of a populated area. Prepare. So this is what I'll say. If you were in St. Louis, prepare for what you were dealing with on Friday. Prepare for the worst case scenario, which was really Friday. Just understand it's very unlikely. And if you have a safe place to go, which is a basement if you have one, but even if you don't, the lowest floor of your house in an interior room, you're still very likely to be okay. So just think about that and know that you have a safe place to be. Daniel, thank you so much for the feedback. I really appreciate it. And thanks for saying my bar is cool. My weather ticker bar. Like I said, YouTube is going to be the place to be for streaming, so you can just do so much more. But I love TikTok because I love there's a lot of people who were watching me last year, and it's nice to interact with you guys every year. Refresh it, Stephanie. You'll find it at Tucker Weather. All right, let's see. This I'm using right now. I'm using Radar Omega, but there's a lot of different radar apps you can use. I know Radar Scope's a popular one, and My Radar people use. There's a million. You have to go search on the App Store. There's a million you can find out there. I'm not saying one's better than the other. There's just those are options if you're looking for something like that. Let's see here. Overland Park is all well. If you're an OP, you got some strong storms coming in right now. They're actually weakening pretty quick as they get into St. Louis, but it will storm in Overland Park here, and you got about 15 minutes. Actually, here's something really interesting. You tell me what you're seeing in Overland Park out there. Who sent that? You tell me what you're seeing in Overland Park. But let me say this. Here's your rain cooled air. You see that thin gray line? It's very subtle. You guys see that? That is really interesting because we call this a gust front right here. That thin gray line is rain cooled air. It's coming out of the storm and it's blowing ahead of the storm. And basically what you're going to feel if you're in Lenexa, Overland Park, Shawnee, if you're in Kansas City out here, you're about to feel this rain cooled air. I'm gonna put it in blue. You're about to feel this rain cooled air about 10 or 15 minutes before it even starts to rain. So what you're feeling is basically the storm's exhaling, and it's one of my favorite things because you can actually see it on radar. And you know what's really interesting and maybe gross for some of you guys, depending on who you are. The reason we can even did you see it update? You see it just reaching Lenexa. So it's interesting and maybe gross, depending on what you think. The reason we can see this rain cooled air, on radar because it's invisible, is because as the wind blows out from the storms, it's picking up things like dust and dirt, and even bugs are being picked up here on our radar. So a little science lesson for you. And if I put this in motion, you'll see again that line emanating out from the storms. Really cool stuff, isn't it? I think it's really cool. Maybe that's a nerdy meteorologist thing, but yeah, that's what that is. So you learn a thing or two, not just you don't just get weather information, you learn a thing or two. Des Moines, Iowa, you're all good. Let's see. Oh, James, thank you for the feedback too, my guy. Let's see. I'm glad you guys seem to like the YouTube ticker bar. I've been working on that one. It's actually a Python script that runs it. It's pretty cool. Let's see. How much time do you have to find shelter when it changes from a tornado watch to a warning? Good question. Usually, I believe on average, you have 10 minutes when a tornado warning is issued. You have 10 minutes. So when you get into a tornado warning, you really got to get moving. You don't want to sit and wait. You don't want to sit and wait when you have a tornado warning issued. That's why we're really urgent. It's not to scare you. It's to say, hey, you really got to get moving. Yeah, I was talking about Mexico, Missouri earlier. Sedalia, we were talking about out here too. Mexico, yeah, you're going to be fine in both places, but you should be prepared for a storm. I mean, without a doubt, it is going to storm. Actually, Sedalia, you're all good now. Mexico, you're going to get a storm, but it shouldn't be too bad. If sirens are still going off in St. Joseph, someone doesn't know how to use them. The severe weather threat in St. Joseph now has largely ended. There is still some heavy rain falling, especially on the north side. But most of the city, the severe weather threat is just about over. I would just be concerned for potential flooding on the north side of St. Joseph. That's really the biggest concern out there. Yes, there is one tornado warning. Let's get into that here. The only tornado warning active right now is right here in southeastern Missouri. It is pretty close to Caledonia. It's right in the middle of the forest, and it's very clear where a tornado would be. You can see that couplet, as we call it, right here. That's your area of rotation. And remember, almost every tornado, 99% of tornadoes, is going to be spinning counterclockwise. That's what our radar is telling us here. However, yes, and Hannah, I do cover Indiana. I used to be a meteorologist on TV in Indianapolis, Fox 59, if you're familiar with that. But this tornado-warned storm is moving towards Potosi. If you're in Potosi, you're actually not in the warning right now, but we're going to keep watching this. The storm is not moving very fast, and it's one that you have some time. Actually, let me check on the speed. No, it's sped up a bit. It's moving 30 miles per hour. If you're in Potosi, if you want to be safe, I would head down to your safe place now, just if you want to be safe, because this is a tornado-warned storm. I expect it will stay tornado warned and move in your direction. You still have about 25 minutes, though. It wouldn't be a bad idea to head down to the basement if you're in Potosi, but you have a little bit of time. Nashville tomorrow, the threat's higher. Nashville tomorrow, that's where you have severe weather potential, and it is going to be a day to watch in Nashville for wind and the potential for a tornado, mainly in the second half of the day. Let's see. I see. So, storm hitting northwest Arkansas is projected to hit central Arkansas and the east side of Tennessee. So, I see what you're saying. So, our weather models are not perfect. And weather models would make a lot of these predictions. So, it's not necessarily that anything caused it to shift northeast. With severe weather especially, it's really hard to get the details. And our weather model probably just did not cover the details very well. But you can see here, I mean, we still have this is all going to move through central Arkansas, and it will reach eastern Tennessee. You can kind of see our storm is beginning to move a little bit more like this. So honestly, it seems pretty close to what guidance would have suggested. Hot Springs, you're going to get in, just talking about Arkansas, you're going to get into some of this wind here. You still got about 2 to 3 hours before anything gets in there, but I'm not expecting it to be much of a tornado maker, really just damaging wind for Hot Springs later this evening. Let's see. I'm just looking at some of the... Give me 1 second give me 2 seconds while I gather a little more data. Yeah, Memphis by early tomorrow. I'd expect that threat. Give me one moment here. Just looking at some reports coming in. I'll share anything interesting with you. So give me like 1 sec. All right. How long does a tornado usually last? Back to some of your questions. By the way, just want to get on this real quick. This tornado near Potosi was just confirmed. It looks like some debris right here. So now that we have a confirmed tornado, even though you're not in the warning in Potosi or Mineral Point, I would be surprised if this warning isn't extended into your area. We do have debris being picked up, and it is moving pretty darn close to you guys. So if you're in Potosi or Mineral Point, I would head down to the basement to be safe. To answer your question, Haley, a tornado usually will last there's a wide range. A lot of tornadoes last no more than about a minute. Some tornadoes last as long as 30 minutes. It really just depends on the tornado. I wouldn't really say there's a normal amount. It really just depends on the tornado. Festus should be fine. Well, Festus could be storming in an hour. We have to watch this stuff down here. That will be a kind of close call. Hopefully the drive is short. I'm inclined to say Festus will be okay, but I definitely cannot guarantee that. We're seeing a lot of storms pop up, so I would definitely be prepared for some rain. Anything that pops up here is going to move into Festus as we get later into the evening here. So that's when we're going to have to watch. Columbia will not be seeing a tornado tonight, no. Yeah, Columbia is all right. Actually, the worst of the storm is in Columbia right now. What you're getting now, it will not get worse then. The worst of it's in Columbia right now. By the way, guys, if you're watching on TikTok, like I said before, you can find me at Tucker Weather on YouTube too, where I'm also streaming. I'm just letting you know because I'll see your questions a lot faster there. All right, let's see. Some of the places you guys are asking about, you're gonna need to give me a bigger place. Like if you're near Little Rock, tell me you're near Little Rock and not just like Mayflower. That would be very helpful. So I know I'm able to give you a clearer answer. Um, there you go. Hopefully that helps, Daniel. Tell her to drive safe. Okay, let's see. Let's try to get to more of your questions. I'm going to show you what we're looking at for tomorrow because our weather is slightly quieter right now. And I know some people are curious about this severe weather threat for tomorrow. So here's our risk tomorrow. Generally speaking, we're looking at a level 4 threat here in Tennessee. This exists in Kentucky as well, and northern Alabama, northern Mississippi as well in this level 4 risk, mainly for wind and the potential for tornadoes. Oh, sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. Level 3 risk, not level 4. That's level 3 out of 5 risk in orange. I apologize for that. Level 2 risk north of that area. And this level 2 risk, again, mainly for wind. Could be a tornado. But the threat is really just going to be greatest in the middle of this risk zone, of course. And really what we're looking at are these storms which are forming into lines. And these lines are going to continue to move east. And similar to what we're seeing now, the lines are mainly going to produce damaging wind. But once we get into the daytime tomorrow, there's going to be more strength given to the storms, and that's going to allow them to potentially produce tornadoes once we get into the day. So I was saying before, if you guys have any questions about this specifically, we're not going to go too into detail on tomorrow's severe weather threat, but if you have questions, you can find me at Tucker Weather on Instagram. If you follow me there and you send me a DM with your weather question, I'll be sure to get back to you guys there before we get into storms tomorrow, so you have all the weather information you need. Do a lot of personal forecasts on Instagram, so if you want a personal forecast, I'll add you to the list. And also, if you're interested in some of the behind the scenes of TV life, that's also where I post a bunch of stuff, if you're interested in that. If you're not, disregard. But anyway, let's get into some of the areas that we've been watching. We have one tornado warning. It's getting close to Potosi. Let me see. I see your question about O'Fallon. I see another question about Poplar Bluff. So give me a moment while I look into some of these areas for you. Poplar Bluff. The risk for damaging wind is on the medium end tonight. I don't expect you're going to see a tornado, but wind is a real possibility. If you're in O'Fallon, let's see. You are real close to a severe storm right now. It is going to storm in O'Fallon tonight. Does not mean they're going to be severe, but it is going to rain a lot and storm in O'Fallon. Melville, certainly, you probably just got that storm right now, or at least it was very close. The threat for severe weather in St. Louis later tonight, it's on the medium end. We're watching these storms right now. It's actually this storm that is tornado warned near Potosi that would eventually be getting into the St. Louis area. Doesn't mean it's going to create a tornado in St. Louis, but I would expect at least some wind from this thing as it gets in. So something to watch right there. Let's see. The pink, at least if we're looking at on the radar, those pinks and purples, that's your really heavy rain and likely some hail. Searcy, Arkansas. So if you're anywhere in the vicinity of Little Rock, if you're anywhere in central Arkansas, most of Arkansas, in fact, is facing the same risk here. You can see this line of storms. It's kind of a couple lines together here. These are going to continue to move through the state, and as they move through the state, they're mainly presenting a damaging wind risk, and also there is a low tornado threat, but mainly it's a wind threat. Let's see. Xander's saying there's a confirmed large tornado near Potosi. I can see that. So here's the reason we've been watching this so closely. If there was a tornado, right here is where it would be. That's our hook. But more importantly, we're not even that close to the radar, which means the radar beam, wow, that actually looks extremely impressive. The radar beam measuring the storm is pretty darn high in the air. So that debris, actually we can measure. Where's my radar site? Here it is. That debris, that's being measured. The radar's 66 miles away. That is several thousand feet in the air. So right now, guys, we have a large tornado on the ground moving in the direction of Potosi. If there are chasers on this, I don't know how they're chasing, because we are literally looking at a storm that is in the middle of, it's in the middle of the forest. Like there is not much out here, luckily. But like I said, if you're in Potosi or Mineral Point, even though you're actually not in a warning yet, this is a good time to head down to the basement because it is a powerful storm. Yeah, Lauren's got that one for you, Brianna. It was an EF3, 140 mile per hour winds. I believe it was 150 mile per hour winds. The tornado that hit the St. Louis area, 152, I believe, to be exact. That was the St. Louis tornado from just the other day. Yeah, how does air pressure act when tornadoes are formed? Well, basically, when tornadoes form, what you have is really all a tornado is a violently rotating updraft. So a tornado is a very intense and small area of low pressure. And so one of the things that happens, one of the ways tornadoes do damage, most likely, is that there's actually such a difference in the pressure between perhaps a house, and the outside, which is where the tornado is, that it kind of causes the house to, like the air inside the house to kind of explode outwards, actually, which helps to do some damage, I believe, at least. I know that's there's a lot of research going into this, but that's a big part of tornadoes and the way they do damage. And air pressure especially, that's why people, I believe, report their ears popping sometimes in tornadoes because the pressure drops so dramatically. In St. Louis, the worst of this should be really in the next 2 hours is when the worst of it should be getting into St. Louis. Great question. Kelly wants to know how much effect do wind turbines, I'm assuming here, have on disrupting the atmosphere. So interestingly, I've heard some people, I think some people have said that wind turbines don't do anything. Funny thing is, wind turbines actually do impact the atmosphere and the weather, but at a local level. So we're talking, if wind turbines impact the atmosphere, if they impact the weather, it would only be in a small area within a couple miles of the wind turbines. And we're talking about if you have like a real wind farm. So the interesting thing about wind turbines is they don't do anything too bad. The worst thing they probably do is kill some birds. But because they're basically mixing the air, they function as as Mother Nature would if there was wind. And one of the things that happens when you have wind at night is it actually keeps temperatures a little bit milder. So people have reported, there's less frost. There's less frost on the ground, on cold nights where there are turbines. It keeps things a bit more mild. So they actually don't really have very negative effects, but they do certainly they make the air a bit more turbulent, and that has impacts on nighttime temperatures and things like that. I want to get back to our tornado warned storm, and let me see here. You're welcome, Yoko. Thank you for that. I do want to take a look at our storm here. Again, this is a significant area of debris. The reason I'm less concerned about this at the moment, although this is not good for Delbridge, this is at least in a pretty sparsely populated area. But Delbridge, not a good scenario for Delbridge. This is in Missouri, likely just hit by a very powerful tornado. I'm kind of curious. I'm just looking up what the population of Delbridge is because I know this is right out there in the middle of the forest. But this is a very powerful tornado. What you're looking at is the debris. I don't even think I can get a population on it. So I'm not even sure if people live in Delbridge, which is good. But nonetheless, what we have right here is a very dangerous tornado. Debris is being lifted very high into the sky. So you have a tornado on the ground lifting debris. It is continuing to move to the north and east. It's going to get pretty close to Potosi. We have to hope it doesn't get in there. And the reason you're not seeing as strong a couplet here, I mean, granted, there's rotation, but the reason you're not seeing anything crazy is because the radar beam, it's measuring the storm very high up. So I'm going to wait for this to get a little bit closer to Potosi because simply put right now, it's not hitting much. So I know that puts it at a lower priority for some of you, for most of us here. Rolla, if you're in Rolla, you're right here. You have some storms moving in, but the organized severe weather threat has really decreased in Rolla. There could be a damaging wind gust, but I don't expect anything too crazy. So Rolla, the severe weather threat should end there in about an hour 15 or so. Thanks for that, Xander. It's a good update. Less than 100, they're all spread out. That makes a lot of sense. I'd assume most of these areas here are kind of like mountain homes, where they're kind of just spread out on different peaks and hills and stuff like that. So that's good news in a sense, less people getting hit, but that's a scary storm. You just got to hope people have places to go. One of the things, guys, here's a myth. A lot of people, I get this all the time. People tell me, oh, I live in a valley, so tornadoes, they jump over us. Or I live in a mountain, so we're protected. That's not how it works. There's a lot of research going into how terrain influences tornadoes, but there's no evidence to suggest that a valley or a mountain is actually going to protect you. I think a lot of people rely on that common myth. We'll call it a myth. There could be something to it. We don't know for sure, but a lot of people rely on it, and there's just not much to support it. So that is something to just think about. If you live in some of these areas that are more hilly, doesn't mean you're going to be safer than in some of these flatter areas. I just want to say that now. I do want to mention, too, it appears that this may be on more of a northerly track here. So Potosi and Mineral Point, with some of the newer scans I have, you guys may actually be not impacted by the worst of this. Should still be prepared, but this appears to be headed more northerly. Some small villages, I'm guessing here. Floyd, Levy, and Shirley. These are areas that could be impacted, but the good news at least is that this continues to move through some pretty sparsely populated areas. If it continues moving north, it would eventually get towards St. Clair, Missouri. That's not for a little while, though. So very, very strong tornado, luckily occurring in a place where there is not much out there. So if you guys aren't familiar with my YouTube channel or my TikTok, I storm chase a bit, and I was storm chasing last April. It was, I believe it was the 24th, April 24th. I was in western Texas storm chasing, and we saw this one tornado, and it likely had wind. I believe the National Weather Service was saying it had wind around 130 miles per hour or so, or something in that ballpark, and it was rated an EFU. An EFU, which means EF unknown, because it didn't hit anything. So with a tornado like this, I'm curious, it could be, it hopefully didn't hit anything, it could be, but even these big tornadoes, if they don't hit anything, they are not rated at all or rated very low, and it'll be interesting to see what happens as they survey this later. They certainly will. Okay. Jefferson City, Missouri. At this point, you're out of the worst of it. So in Jefferson City, good news, you're out of the worst of this. Things are improving out there in Jeff City. We also have Joplin. Seen some questions. Joplin, you're all good. Honestly, Joplin, you really made it through this without too much of an issue, luckily. So yes, Joplin, you're okay. Columbia, you're okay now too. The worst of it is out of Columbia, and yeah, like I said, Jeff City, all good. So we're really seeing the severe weather threat slow down. Although if you're in Arkansas, that's where it is still reasonably high. So Arkansas, still a lot of activity out here. Continuing to see storms spread out across the state, especially getting into the central part of the states. Clarksville right here, Russellville, Hot Springs is eventually going to be in this too. Little Rock should get some storms later on tonight. If you guys are farther north, I see that question about Omaha. You're okay out there. You're okay out there. Totally okay in Omaha. Okay, let's see where else people are asking about, though. Park Hills. Tell me where Park Hills is. Oh, I see Park Hills. Park Hills is okay. You're okay with this one. So Park Hills is too far east for this tornado to reach. Even Potosi right now, I believe, is going to end up staying to the east of this. Our tornado would be right here where I'm drawing this X, and last I checked, it's taking a path almost due north, a little bit easterly, but this thing is really staying, luckily, out of some of the more populated areas. Still a very dangerous tornado, but it's avoiding some of the worst areas that it could hit. Fulton in Mexico is still pretty much the same thing. I'm not seeing anything too bad out there. It just looks like some general storms. There will be quite a bit of wind, but I don't expect your severe weather threat is too high, luckily. Sedalia, you're all good out there now. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it, Bo? Maybe some of you guys don't know this, but the tornado damage scale. You know how we talk about it being 0 through 5? It's rated on damage, not wind speed. So, a lot of people, hurricanes are rated on their wind speed. Tornadoes are rated on the damage they do. So if you have a massive tornado and it hits nothing, it's going to be a 0 or unrated completely. I don't believe there will be a tornado in St. Louis. It's very unlikely for there to be a tornado in St. Louis tonight. But I do want to tell you there is at least a chance for something to form out there. So you have to prepare for the worst. Take all the same precautions you would if there was, but know that it's unlikely. Okay, let's see. Trying to get some more questions. I've seen a few questions about Liberty. I'll get to Liberty, Missouri for you. Liberty Bibberty. Those questions, that's commercials actually annoy me. I don't even know. I can get that stuck in my head now. If we take a look out towards Kansas City. So, for some reason I thought Liberty was a little farther out. But the good news is that if you're in Liberty, and a lot of these storms, if you're in Kansas City at least, these storms really, really fell apart. Once again, a lot of times when these storms become outflow dominant, they don't always maintain their strength. And you can see very clearly here the outflow boundary all the way out here. So what's happening right now is that these storms are basically they're cutting themselves off. They're making it really stable underneath and they're dying out. So if you're in Liberty, if you're in Kansas City, OP, if you're anywhere in the Kansas City metro area here, you're going to get some rain, but it's actually not going to be too bad. These storms that are still pretty strong are moving into northern Missouri here, like Cameron, Hamilton, Bramer, Breckenridge, Gallatin. You can see this Boeing segment here. That's going to continue to bring storms into portions of northwestern Missouri, but I don't believe they're going to make it super far. So Kirksville and Macon and Chillicothe, you're going to be you should be okay tonight, but there is still a flooding risk, so do note that. Yeah, Fayetteville. A lot of you guys asking about Fayetteville. We were tracking on the live here. Who was on the live when we were tracking the Fayetteville tornado? Because what I saw, and I haven't looked for reports there. Actually, I wonder if I can go back here. And yes, I can. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna see if I can find. Let me see if I can find the tornado as it occurred. But there was without a doubt a strong tornado. I don't know if I can actually. I've never tried it on here. Okay. Anyway, there was seemingly a strong tornado. It was in the Fayetteville area. Let me get the radar out here so I can draw a little more clearly. Okay, so when we were on the live watching, who was on the live when this tornado hit on YouTube or on TikTok? Because we were keeping a very close eye on this one. The Liberty Mutual commercials, they're kind of annoying, aren't they? I feel like although I like Limu. That's the only one I like though. But the tornado seemed like it began around Lincoln. Let me zoom out so we can see everything here. So the tornado in Fayetteville, it looked like it began around Lincoln. It continued south of Prairie Grove. It looked like it went right through Greenland, and then it continued moving to the east like this. And the worst of it seemed to be when it went through the Greenland area. Fayetteville itself looked like it was not hit as bad, but Fayetteville actually looked like it was spared. It looked like it just missed. The worst of it seemed like it was near Greenland. Actually, you know what? There's an airport there. Let me see. FYV. I'm going to see what the wind gust was from that airport. See if it got a measurement. So give me one moment while I take a look. Haley and Giselle, you were here when we were covering that one. I love that. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Emu's the man. All right, let me see though. FYV. So every airport has a code. Interestingly, so our weather data, our temperatures and stuff, that all comes from airports and stuff like that. So that would basically have given us a reading. Let me see. We have St. Louis, St. Peter's as well. Let me get to your questions there first, then I'll get into this. So St. Louis, really, we're doing all right in St. Louis. We have some storm activity out there right now. St. Peter's right here, you're clear for now, but you know what? I'm still tracking some storms for you later, so I'll continue to watch. And, we're going to be keeping an eye on the potential for some storms really over the next few hours. So stay on alert. I don't see anything too bad, but it's something I'm watching. So you're in a spot you got a few rounds of storms to go. All this stuff you still have out here, this is for you guys. St. Louis, St. Peter, St. Charles, Wentzville. All of this stuff still out here has to get through before you're completely in the clear. So a little bit of time before we actually clear things out. If you guys are just jumping on, by the way, I just noticed a bunch of new people just jumped on. So let me introduce myself. Hey, everyone. My name's Tucker. I'm a meteorologist. I got my degree from Penn State, clearly, right behind me too. I'm a meteorologist on TV in Boston. When I'm not on air, a lot of times I'm tracking severe weather. I storm chase and stuff like that. So if you're looking for a source of weather information, I just want to let you know that you are going to get legitimate weather information here, information you can trust. So consider following if you're watching here on TikTok. Consider subscribing if you're watching here on YouTube as well. If you guys have any weather questions I'm not getting to in the live, and trust me, I'm doing my best. There's a lot of you on here, though. And if you have any questions I'm not getting to, you can find me at Tucker Weather on Instagram as well. And just follow me there. Shoot me a DM. I'll do my best to respond. Well, I will. I'll get to all of you guys on Instagram. I'm doing my best to respond to you guys here. But especially if you guys are in places that are going to be facing severe weather, more so tomorrow, I'll make sure I get back to each and every one of you too, so you know what's coming up. And if you like behind the scenes stuff in the TV world, or you have any food recommendations, I'm going storm chasing in a week. I'll be out there in the Midwest. Send those to me too. I'd appreciate that. It's always appreciated. All right, I'll flip back to radar. You guys want to see radar? You don't want to see me anyway. There we go. I do want to check for real though that one airport though I was talking about. By the way, if you guys are watching on TikTok also, I'm streaming on YouTube too, and there's less people watching on YouTube. I love all you guys watching on YouTube, don't worry. But I'll see your questions a lot quicker there, just so you know. Okay, though, here we are I'm looking for my METAR data. That's what it stands for. ASOS data, actually, it's automated. I can't remember. It's an automated measurement system, basically, though. So let's see. That one airport, if it was hit by a tornado, we would see some pretty crazy readings. Let me see, though, what we end up getting here. I'm pulling it up on my my tablet right next to me. Give me one moment out of curiosity. Here we are. So I got Fayetteville on my map. There's that. So the airport, the weather data is still functioning on there, at least, because there's more data coming in. And that airport, it appears the highest wind gust reading it has is 33 miles per hour. So if there was a tornado, it certainly did not hit the airport directly, but it was worth a look. I just had to check. But it does seem like a tornado did go just south of Fayetteville, Arkansas earlier tonight. All right, I'm rambling a bit. Let's get down to, again, what we're looking at right now. I do want to give you an update on our tornado-warned storm. Again, this is sort of out there in kind of the middle of nowhere out here in Missouri. But still a strong storm. We're going to take a look at our debris tracker. Actually, it's all the way out here now. So if we look at our debris tracker, you see that blue circle in here? This has been on the ground for a long time. That's a sign that we have debris being lifted in the air by a tornado. I'm kind of surprised they haven't extended this warning yet. Potosi and Mineral Point, good news is that you guys are going to be missed by this tornado. It's continuing to move mainly north, and it's not going to be in your area. It continues to move through very, like I said, not even rural, but really mountainous areas. And it's kind of far from the radar, but right here, that's where it would be. So we're going to keep watching this one. It's not really hitting anything right now, but it's out there still. Yeah, you know, it's so hard to say if it's weakening. I was trying to get a handle on that too. It's so hard to say if it's weakening because one of the problems we have with this one is that it's so far from the radar. We just can't see what's happening at the low levels. But certainly one to watch. All right, let me move. Oops. Let's see what we have here. Trying to get some of your questions. Let me show you. I see a lot of people asking about Arkansas. So let me get to you here real quick. Boonville, Clarksville, these are areas that are being impacted by these storms in Arkansas right now. So if you live anywhere in western Arkansas, you're probably getting the rain. You're probably getting the storms. Eventually, this will reach Little Rock, Hot Springs, Mountain View. You guys are likely to get some damaging wind here, although I believe the tornado threat is pretty low because really what we're looking at is just a lot of wind, and at this point, there is not a lot of rotation in this line of storms. So, you know, that's not to say let your guard down. There's still a low chance of a tornado, but the threat really has decreased a lot. These storms are not outflow dominant yet, though, so that's why I'm saying, you know, there is still a chance for a tornado, although they're certainly not as put together as they were earlier, and the environment is not as conductive for tornadoes. There's less spin out there for the storms to eat up. Jumping north towards Kansas City, I'm going to get some more of your questions. See, Terre Haute, Indiana has a question on here too. A lot of you guys asking about Indiana. If you're in Terre Haute or Indianapolis or south, that's where you have a severe weather threat tomorrow. Mainly wind. There is a chance as well for tornadoes, but it is lower. Let's see. Trying to get some more of your questions here again. Doing my best to respond to all of you. And if you are in... How do you guys want to know if you can go to bed? So let me call out some areas that are in the clear now, so you guys don't have to worry. If you are in really anywhere in Kansas now, we have one random severe storm out here near Russell, Kansas, but that's in the central part of the state. It is a very interesting moving storm. If you're out in Kansas, you can go to bed tonight. May still be storms. There could even be some flooding, but you can go to bed. If you're in Oklahoma, unless you're in the very far, extreme southeastern Oklahoma, you can go to bed tonight too. Any storms should not be severe, so you should be all good out here in Oklahoma. I'll also add, if you're in Nebraska or Iowa, the severe weather threat really never got that high today. And while there are some storms in Iowa, severe weather is very unlikely. So you're all good in Iowa. You're in the clear out there too. If you're in Kansas City, I'm seeing some people ask about Kansas City specifically. Give it you know what? Honestly, in Kansas City, you can go to bed. The severe weather threat's pretty low in Kansas City. There is some storms, but you're all right. Missouri, not yet, though. Missouri, we still got to keep an eye. We have some strong storms. We have a tornado that's likely ongoing. Missouri, you're not quite in the clear yet. Same with Arkansas, not quite in the clear yet. I'll say this too: if you're in southern Illinois or western Kentucky or Tennessee or even northern Mississippi, the severe weather threat's going to begin to increase in the morning for you tomorrow. So what I want you to do, I'm going to take a look at the tornado in a moment, Xander, just to give an update on that. If you're in these areas out here, though, southern Illinois, like I said, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, or northern Mississippi, make sure emergency alerts are turned on your phone, and you can do that in settings. Just make sure they're turned on. I expect you're going to be okay overnight, but there is still the possibility for a severe storm, even a tornado, in the early part of the morning. So to make sure that you could be woken up if something happens, you want to make sure those emergency alerts are turned on. Your phone will make noise if there's a tornado warning at least, and that should help you out. You're right. They did drop the tornado warning on that storm near Potosi, which actually surprises me a little bit. I mean, that's definitely debris. It's definitely debris still. Let me see. Let's see. We have. To be honest, if I was in, it's actually not very well correlated with the precip, which is very interesting. If it was me in the hot seat here, it's a tricky one because stuff isn't very well correlated. Is that the debris right there? Let me see what's going on here. No, it's not. Must be a difference in the give me a moment. Honestly, because I'm still seeing signs of debris, I'm trying to figure this one out as you're hearing my thoughts right now okay, honestly, no, this is still decently correlated with the hook. The debris is sort of like offset a little bit right here. I am actually very surprised they let this tornado warning go. If I was in the hot seat, there's no way I'd let it go with debris showing up on radar still. If it was me, I would keep it a smaller warning, something like this. That'll be my warning right there. I would continue to warn it personally. Potosi and Mineral Point, I see. JT says you've had 5 tornado sirens in Potosi. Potosi, you should be all right here unless this second storm does something, and I don't expect it will right now, but the main storm that we've been watching is going to miss you, luckily. But this, I'm surprised they dropped the tornado warning on this storm, the one that's missing you. The good news, though, it's kind of going in the middle of nowhere. So really not much to worry about in terms of population impacts, but Floyd, Ebo, Aptus. Those are areas that could be impacted. There's just not much out there, though. So I guess it's, I don't want to say lower priority for them, but it might be. Kind of surprised. I'm really surprised, to be honest. They haven't kept that warning, though. Okay, let's see. So some of the smaller places you guys are calling out. Let me know what else you're give me a city to give reference to, because I don't know some, like Smithville. I honestly don't know exactly where Smithville is. So tell me what it's near. Let's see. North Carolina, I saw a question about. You okay out there, at least tonight. Storm threat actually increases more so Wednesday. If you're going to get severe weather, it should be Wednesday out there. Rolla, you're getting into the storms right now out there in Rolla, but I don't expect anything too crazy in Rolla. Just some general thunderstorms. Some of those creeks you have out there are gonna get pretty deep. They're gonna get pretty deep from all the rain, but that's about it. Northern Illinois, you're fine out there in Northern Illinois. We were just talking about St. Louis a moment ago, but if we take a look at, oh, here it is. So they just extended the warning. They put the new warning out again, and they put Potosi and Mineral Point in it, and it looks like we may have a second area of rotation that I was just talking about. The new scan here is a little more menacing. So if you're in Potosi and Mineral Point, I know JT's out there. Stay in the basement if you're there now. If you're not, head to the basement now, because there is still certainly a severe weather threat out here, and the potential for a tornado is still very legitimate. That second storm, like I said, looks like it's trying to do something out here. You can kind of see a hook. We're pretty far from the radar, but we need to look at that. This does look like it's moving a little more easterly. Potosi, you got to watch, but you got to be on alert here. You got to head down to your safe spot now. Smithville's in your Platte City. All right, I'll take a look at that for you. I'll take a look at Smithville. Let me see what we got here for Smithville. Oh, okay. I gotcha. If you're out by Smithville, if you're out anywhere near Kansas City, the severe weather threat is past. You're really just looking at some flooding threats. Let's see, Fort Leonard Wood. You guys are saying the wind's insane. Well, that's out here, right? I know I've looked at Fort Leonard Wood before. Is anyone on TikTok who is watching me, or out on YouTube who's watching last year? We were doing severe weather coverage, and I remember I think Fort Leonard Wood was hit by a tornado on the night that we were doing some coverage. That was I think that would have been, oh, that's right by Rolla, isn't it? That would have been probably in like April or something like that. It looks like we had a new tornado warning, maybe May. Fort Leonard Wood, though, yeah, I bet the wind's pretty crazy. Believe it or not, that is not even the strongest wind, not even close, that we've seen tonight. But you can see that line of storms that's moved through Fort Leonard Wood, St. Robert, getting towards Rolla. We did just get a new tornado warning, though. This one in Cuba, Missouri, that would be. So new tornado warning for the Cuba, Missouri area. I'm not seeing debris. I am seeing a little bit of rotation here. Again, we're kind of far from the radar, so we can't make out many details. But if this was producing a tornado, it would be right by Cuba, Missouri, and moving to the northeast. It'd be pretty close to the highway, though. Anyone know what highway this is? Moving through Cuba, Hofflands, Bourbon, Sullivan. Looks like, what's that? Is that It's not 70. That's something, though. One of those highways out there. Oh, it's 44? Thanks, guys. All right, see? Look at everyone helping me out on that one. All right, everyone seems to know it but me. Now you're making me feel stupid. Everyone knows it's 44. Okay. All right, so I-44 right here. Thanks for the help with that one, guys. This looks like it's about to cross I-44 by Hofflands, if you know where that is. We got an exit right here in Hofflands. You can see it right there on their map. So this is where our tornado is right now. If there is one, in fact, we can't confirm it at this moment. It would be crossing I-44, moving north. It would likely pass Bourbon to the west, but Bourbon, you're in the warning, so you should be heading down to the basement. Eventually, it continues moving north. It looks like a pretty rural area up ahead here, but Rosebud, Gerald, those are areas we'll need to keep an eye on. Union, you're a bit far to the east of this, luckily, so I don't believe it'll bother you. We got a new tornado warning, too. This one for a more populated area, up towards Hannibal, Missouri. I'll take a look at the velocity, but I believe this would actually be very close to Hannibal. So now what we're seeing, guys, oof, that's something. It's a lot of rotation in there. We're not very close to the radar again, so we can't make out the details, but out by Hannibal, I'm expecting north of Hannibal is where a tornado would be if one is occurring. Not seeing debris, luckily, but definitely some hail in the storm. What we're seeing are a lot of quick-hitting tornadoes that are starting to spin up in these storms. It's hard to get a lead on them because, yeah, you can see this storm did not have much rotation, and then it really picked up towards the last few minutes. So possible tornado north of Hannibal, Missouri. This is crossing into Illinois. They'll be near Payson and Burton. Those are both in Illinois and are in this tornado warning, so you should be heading down to your safe place if you're out there right now. DeSoto I was looking at before as well. And DeSoto right now should be okay. I see it in DeSoto. DeSoto is not in the warning, and I believe if a tornado is produced here, it would end up staying to the west of DeSoto. I'll get an update on the storm. Still seeing that couplet, as we say. It's not too defined, but there's certainly rotation out there. No debris right now, but we'll be watching that area closely. Most of our activity right now in Missouri, except for any tornado activities around Missouri, a lot of damaging windows still in Arkansas. If you're in Texas, you're all right. And thanks, Bo and Lauren, for the 44 call out on the interstate or highway, at least. Potosi's okay right now, but you should still be in your basement just to be safe. If a tornado is occurring, I'll be honest, I really doubt Potosi gets hit. You should be fine. If you are in Mineral Point, I would say you're fine. But just to be safe, stay in that safe place if you're in Potosi. Just stay there for now at least. So Ozarks are all right now. In the Ozarks, you should be fine. The worst of the weather has actually moved through there already. But we're still watching some of these areas, again, that are a bit closer to, we're still looking at kind of the wooded areas, but getting a bit closer to St. Louis now. Oh, thanks, Annabelle. I appreciate you. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at right now, is areas a bit closer to St. Louis. Ozarks are all right. Kansas is pretty much all right. We're really not going to see as much activity out there now. We're really clearing out there. Yeah, Union, Crestwood. I was just looking at some of those areas before. Union, I'll show you Union right now because I don't know I can't remember if I said it or not, but these two tornado warnings likely going to make a pass close to Union. And what I'm looking at right now, again, are two possible tornadoes, not confirmed tornadoes. One near Cuba, crossing 44. We got another one that looks like it's going to miss Potosi just a little bit to the west. So those are our warnings. Union's in the circle. Right now, with the direction the storms are moving, this one would be passing to the west of Union. This one would be passing to the east. So Union's in a spot where, and same with St. Clair out here too, and Washington as well. Each of these cities in St. Louis, these towns at least, are in spots where you really need to be watching this closely, because if we do get a bit of a shift in direction, you could be very well in the line of fire. But right now, it seems like you're splitting the middle, and I expect this is what's going to happen. This appears to be the most likely thing to me, but it is something that we do need to watch over these next 30 to 45 minutes. So I'm keeping a close eye on this. We're going to be watching this closely because, simply put, there's not as much going on elsewhere at the moment. So stay tuned. That one near Quincy, you said, what's at 50,000 feet? I assume you're talking the storm top, right? I assume that's the storm tops at 50,000 feet, right? That storm near Hannibal, certainly producing some wind out here too, even if there is not a tornado. But we do have another tornado warning, like I said, right in the border of Illinois and Missouri, just north of Hannibal, getting towards Payson and Burton, those two locations in Illinois. So these are our three things we're watching. Rolla, I was saying before, you're probably getting into the rain right now, right? Yep, Rolla's right in it, in that heavy rain, some of the lightning too. But if you're in Rolla, you're all right out there. That's all right. You're doing just fine, JT. Good stuff out there. Good stuff. I'm watching for you in Potosi. Again, it looks like you're going to end up being missed by this, but that's fine then. If If you don't have a basement, that's okay. It sounds like the bedroom you picked was a pretty good spot. As long as it's not in the top floor. Oh, bathroom. I thought it said bedroom. Yeah. So, yeah, I do want to let you know, JT. JT's in Potosi right now. I do want to let you know again that I believe it is, I believe there's a 90% chance that you're going to be okay here. This certainly does look stronger in terms of rotation, but you're definitely doing the right thing, being in a safe spot with the kids and the dogs. Like I said, Potosi to the east of this right now. I believe it will stay to the east. The storm is moving sort of in a northeasterly direction, so you're doing the right thing there. Again, I'm saying 90% chance this thing completely misses you. So odds are very much in your favor. It's just, obviously, with a tornado, you don't want to play with that 10%. But I'm watching for you, all right? We're going to keep you updated on this one. Central Arkansas, and then I'll get to some of your questions about St. Louis. But I do want to mention, in Central Arkansas, we've seen some more severe storm warnings. These have really popped up here and picked up in the last, about the last half hour as storms have moved in from, the last few hours, really, as storms have moved in from Oklahoma. Not seeing so much of a tornado threat in Arkansas, but each of these storms is warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And for most of Arkansas, in fact, most of the state of Arkansas, you are going to get a storm. But I don't believe tornadoes are very likely. It really is in Arkansas. This is going to be a classic. You hear the wind. You may get some minor damage from the wind too. You hear the thunder and lightning, the heavy rain. But it's in and out in about 15 minutes, and then that rain kind of tapers off for the next couple of hours. As far as St. Louis goes right now, while there is not severe weather in St. Louis at this moment, we are keeping an eye on this cluster of storms, and there is going to be more storm activity in St. Louis. The severe weather potential really just depends on exactly what pops up, mainly on the southern end of this. I'm going to be watching some of these out here. If those can develop, then we will be looking at the potential for more severe weather in St. Louis. I just don't believe the threat is super high, but it's not zero. If you are in central parts of Missouri, we were talking about this earlier, but Jefferson City, Columbia, you guys are all good now. You guys are all good. Columbia, Jefferson City. What's up, Hayden? Welcome back. There was a tornado south of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Actually, guys, I'll tell you, we were tracking this earlier this evening. It really spun up really quick, and it really didn't look good. Fort Chaffee in Arkansas. It was right here, right between Fort Smith Boulevard and Custer Boulevard. It looked very, very much like a tornado went through that portion of Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. That was just a little bit earlier this evening. So another very impactful and dangerous storm. If you're in bed in St. Louis, you're getting ready to go to sleep, here's what I would do. All right, this goes for anyone. Well, Hayden, continue to check on him. Remember, it really may just be because they could have lost power, but the tornado would have been south of Fort Smith in Fort Chaffee. So it wouldn't have actually hit Fort Smith itself. It wasn't a town. It was in like a suburb of Fort Smith is where it occurred. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I was going to say, so if you guys are in St. Louis or really anywhere where there is still severe weather risk, if it was me, I'm just going to tell you what I would do. Not necessarily what like the official recommendations are, but what I would do is I would make sure, first of all, emergency alerts are turned on your phone. And to do that, you can go into settings and see what you see on there. Depending on whether you have an iPhone or Android, it might look different. Thank you for that, Taterman, confirming that a tornado hit Fort Chaffee. But what I would do is I would make sure emergency alerts are turned on your phone. You can go into settings and do that. Personally, what I would do is I would just sleep, go to sleep in not the top floor of your house. Maybe if you got a couch on the first floor, I'd go to sleep there. If emergency alerts are on your phone though, and as long as you're not a super heavy sleeper, your phone will make an alarm sound like it does for Amber Alerts if there's a tornado warning, and that would, at least for me, it would wake someone like me up. I think it'd wake most people up. So that's what I would recommend. if I was in St. Louis. You don't have to stay up, but if you're going to go to sleep, just take some of those precautions. An update in Potosi. We got JT out there. Again, things looking okay for you out there. No debris being picked up, at least not by radar. There may be 2 areas of rotation here, actually. It's hard to say for sure. I'm looking at, well, it's hard to say for sure. We could have 2 areas of rotation, which kind of matches up with the radar, because what I'm seeing here is you have what would be sort of an occluding portion of the storm and another rotation here. Potosi, though, you're almost out of the woods there, JT. Again, these things still continue to be on track to miss you to the west. I'd say you got about 15 more minutes of waiting, and then you're all clear out here in Potosi. So hopefully you guys are all right. Hopefully you guys are staying entertained in the bathroom there. But again, things still looking okay. You're doing the right thing where you are. An update on our storm near Cuba, too, although there's not much we can see on radar out here. Certainly, it just kicked out the warning. I was going to say certainly some rotation, but nothing too impressive. So the warning has expired for the Cuba, Missouri storm. So we have 2 warnings currently, tornado warnings in effect. We have another one near Quincy, Illinois, between Quincy and Hannibal. This one is near Payson. Hard to see because we're not near the radar, but Burton and Payson, Illinois, in this storm path. And at least it's also producing some hail and some wind out here, too. High Ridge, Missouri, north of Potosi. Let me see what you got out here in High Ridge. How big is High Ridge? Because I'm not seeing it on my map. If you're north of Potosi, though, you should. If you're in the tornado warning and you're north of Potosi, you definitely need to be watching this storm carefully. Let me get an update on St. Louis for you guys too. Seems like we got a lot of St. Louis questions. By the way, if you guys are asking questions and I'm not getting to them, I'm also streaming live on YouTube right now, and there's less people watching on YouTube. So just simply put, to be honest, I'll see your questions quicker if you're asking them on YouTube. Just so you know, I'm going to be doing my best to get to all your questions, but at Tucker Weather, if you use YouTube, I will see your questions faster there, just so you know. Okay, let's see here. Wind has died, light rain, lightning is going crazy. So that's exactly what you'd expect to see here, actually, JT. So what we have is, so ready? Here's how the storm is. It's kind of a messy looking storm, but here's the storm. And then if you were to have a tornado, it would be right at the end where that hook is. It's kind of a messy storm. A little bit of a messy supercell. But you would have just gone through this rain and stuff. And then, honestly, if there was a tornado, I'm still keeping an eye on this just to see if that's, I don't think that's much there. But a lot of times tornadoes occur not where the worst of the rain and hail is, which is interesting. So can sometimes be a bit of a head fake, if you will. All right, let's see. Yeah, St. Louis, though, guys. The severe weather threat, I'll say in St. Louis, everything I'm seeing suggests it's on the medium to low side here. Not the biggest risk. Even though you're seeing a lot of red colors, doesn't mean severe weather. We have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and that's why we're seeing so much of that red coloration. There's just a lot of rain up there, and even a little bit of hail. But there is still the potential for severe weather in St. Louis, and that threat's going to end in the next couple hours here as these storms move through. Rolla, you're okay in Rolla. Heavy rain, a lot of wind, I know, but the severe weather out there, that threat is pretty low. Greenville, Illinois. Tell me which part of the state that's in. Columbus, Kansas is all right. Yeah, Kansas, you're all good out there in Kansas now. Let's see. Sparta, you'll need to tell me where Sparta is in Missouri. I believe if that's western Missouri, you're all good, though. Poplar Bluff should be... Well, if you're in Poplar Bluff, you still have this severe line of storms approaching. So if you're in Poplar Bluff, expect some stronger wind. You bet, Hayden. Expect some stronger wind in Poplar Bluff. You're not quite out of the woods out there in Poplar Bluff yet. Let me see here. Oh, that's helpful. Thanks, Ty. Yeah, Sparta, if you're next to Ozark, yeah, you're all good out there too. You're all good out that way also. Certainly, it looks worse on radar than it is right now, to be honest, guys, because you're seeing all those red colors, like I said. But a lot of these storms aren't severe. That said, there still are some severe storms. There are still some tornado warning storms, and that's why we're watching this so quickly, or so closely, rather. Um, let's see what we got here. Just going through some of your questions. Springfield, you're in the clear too. You should be all good out there. Quincy and Hannibal. Or do you probably call it Quincy out there. I'm from Boston, so we call it Quincy. So Quincy and Hannibal. I'm checking right now for you. You guys should be okay now. That dangerous part of the storm has passed you. We have a tornado warning still across the border in Illinois. But Quincy and Hannibal, you're okay now. You're not done with storms yet, but the severe weather threat has notably decreased for you guys, luckily. Branson, Missouri, you should be in the clear out here too. So you should be all right. Potosi, let's get another update on Potosi. And good news here in Potosi. I can say that, did we just get a new tornado warning? Yeah, we just got an updated warning on this, perhaps. So if you're in Potosi, good news, you're in the clear now. So you're in the clear officially. You're all good out there, JT. I expect if a tornado was occurring, it would be right around here or here. I just wanted to watch this just to be sure, but that, regardless, Potosi, which is to the south of all this, is out of the way now. If a tornado is occurring or did occur, it was not in Potosi, and it would not be in Potosi. So Potosi's all good now. Potosi's all good now. So good news there. Even though there may be some rain still, that tornado threat is now over in Potosi. Yeah, if you're in Iowa, there have been a lot of storms, but the good news is that in Iowa, that severe weather threat really just never materialized. It hasn't been strong enough. You know, I was looking at places like DeSoto. You're all right in DeSoto. You're okay out there. Same thing with Texas, you know. In Texas, you're all good too. These storms never really made it into Texas. So DFW, all good out there. If you're in the DFW, send me your food recommendations, by the way. Arnold, right now, I can't guarantee that you're not going to see a severe storm. We're going to need to keep an eye on anything that develops out in the southeastern part of the state. You know, Arnold, I believe the severe weather threat is a bit on the lower side. That's severe weather threat, but I don't believe in Arnold you're looking at a significant severe weather threat. So you can go to sleep, just make sure you have emergency alerts or something on your phone or something that could wake you up. Northeastern Missouri is there is one tornado warning storm, though I believe most of northeastern Missouri, that severe weather threat is on the lower side here. I can't guarantee no severe weather, but if you wait another hour and a half, then you can go to sleep without any issues. I can tell you that much is true. Let me take a look at Dudley, and then I see your question about if you're in a truck. Let me take a look at Dudley, Missouri for you, though. Dudley, you're likely to be facing some at least minor damaging wind as we get into the next several hours, really about 2 hours from now, Dudley, because you have this line of storms coming in here. That will reach you, maybe about an hour and a half, but it is going to create some strong wind. So expect some minor damage in Dudley. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're all good out there, JT. That's good to know, though. That's good to know. Definitely, especially if you're on the east side, you're okay. St. Louis should be on highest alert between, what time is it out there? 9:57. So I'd say between 10:30 and 11:45. That's when you should be on highest alert in St. Louis. Yeah, I got you, Gail. I understand that. I understand. Lots of thunder, lightning, and rain in Rolla. Who else is seeing the rain in Rolla? Does not look like we have any tornadoes on the ground right now, though we have 2 warnings still ongoing right now. That's what we're keeping an eye on at this exact moment. 2 tornado warnings currently active. Does not appear we have any tornadoes on the ground at this exact moment, however. Hey, happy to help, Angela. All right, going to just reset here, reintroduce myself since it seems like we got a lot of new people hopping on here. So just wanted to say hi, guys. There is a person. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see me. If you're watching on TikTok, I just look like a random screen. But if you've just tuned in or if you've only been watching for a little bit, just want to introduce myself. My name is Tucker. I'm a meteorologist. I got my degree from Penn State, and I work on TV in Boston. So you're getting real weather information from a real meteorologist, information you can trust. So if you're watching here on TikTok, consider following because this isn't made up. This isn't hype. It's real weather info. Same thing if you're on YouTube, consider subscribing. And, a lot of times on the internet, you don't know what you're going to get, but this stuff is legit. If you got any questions I haven't got to, you can find me on Instagram at Tucker Weather, especially if it's about the forecast tomorrow. And you can follow me there, send me a message. I'll respond to you. If you're watching on TikTok, I'm streaming on YouTube. I'll see your questions a lot quicker there. And it's usually one or two other things I say. But, yeah, I just want to hopefully help keep you safe, maybe teach you a few things. And, yeah, that's what we do when we get severe weather here. So I'll flip it back to the live. But just so you know, this is legitimate weather information. And if you have any storm reports or pictures or anything, you can send those to me too. Instagram or even on X or Facebook even. Tucker Weather is my handle everywhere. So I'll flip it back here. We'll go back now. All right. So let's see what we got here. Reported tornado from Festus, Missouri. Interesting. Yeah, it looked like there was a tornado just to the south and west of Festus earlier today. That's what I was watching. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Both of your kids are in Des Moines for a summer job. So I almost took a job in Des Moines on TV at one point in time. Des Moines is okay. Iowa's okay with this one. Oh, also, guys, I was saying this before too. I don't know if you guys are anyone out in I don't know, like Oklahoma City or even Dallas. I'm gonna be out there, so I need some food recommendations from those places. Those are always helpful. Let me see here. Hannibal, Missouri is okay now. There was a tornado that may have passed pretty close to Hannibal, but Hannibal's all right now. Yeah, no, yeah, Des Moines all right. Des Moines okay. We've been talking a little bit about Des Moines, but Des Moines all right because the severe weather threat just didn't really make it that far north. I do want to show you guys though. Tomorrow we have a threat for severe storms across a good chunk of the country. Again, that threat is primarily to the south and east of what we've been looking at today. That's a level 3 risk across almost all of Tennessee, a lot of Kentucky, portions of Mississippi and Alabama, and this yellow color indicating level 2 risk. That's across the southern half of Illinois, Indiana. That still extends. I mean, that takes up some of tonight too, but it still extends into even portions of Virginia, West Virginia, just a little bit. So this is what we have to watch for severe weather potential as we get into the day tomorrow. Let me take a look at Fulton for you. Sorry, I've seen your question a couple times. If you're in St. Louis, like I said, I would play it safe. I would go to sleep on the lowest floor of your house. Make sure emergency alerts are turned on your phone because the severe weather threat is not quite over yet. So I would do some more precautionary sleeping, if you will. Again, emergency alerts on your phone, and I would just sleep on the lowest floor, just to be safe. But you're most likely going to be okay. I'll say that. Yeah, Fulton looking okay. The worst of it's out of Fulton now. A lot of flash flood warnings in Missouri. I do expect there will be some flash flooding out there. So if you are seeing flash flooding, no surprise there. Just make sure if you live in a flood-prone area. Yeah, Columbia is all good too. If you live in a flood-prone area, though, just make sure you're thinking about that. Honestly, our weather has gotten a little quieter here. Even those tornado warnings are not as, let me see, Wood River, Illinois, near Granite City. I'll look that up for you. I'm probably going to wrap up the live here in a little bit, guys. Probably not too long from now because we don't have that much going on at this moment. If you're in Wood River, let's see. The threat for severe weather in Wood River is pretty low. But again, I would do the same thing that I was telling people to do in St. Louis. Thanks, Angela. I appreciate it. I actually work on local news too, Angela, which is the funny thing. I work in Boston though. I used to work in Indianapolis, and before that, I worked in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. But um, hey, you're welcome, Gail. Um, if you guys are ever in Boston though, turn on channel 25. You can see me doing the weather there. Let's see. What's the worst tornado I've seen? Um, well, the biggest tornado I've seen was in Texas just a few weeks ago, and that could have been an EF3, but it didn't hit anything. So I guess the worst tornado I saw would have been like an EF2 in McCook, Nebraska. I haven't seen any really bad tornadoes, but I've seen 9 total. Um, so, oh yeah, the Karen Reed trial has been insane, Angela. There was I think a documentary on Netflix that came out, and our guy Ted Daniel was in it. He's one of my coworkers. He did this exclusive interview with her too. It's like, you know, Boston 25 coverage of the Karen Reed trial has been killing it. But yeah, Ted Daniel, if you've heard that name, he's one of my coworkers. It's crazy out here. It's pretty wild. That is big. Yeah, all right, let's get into Quincy and Hannibal. I was saying before, Quincy and Hannibal, the worst of the storm really shifted out of those areas. It's more so in Illinois now. But let's take a look at what's going on here. If we switch to our wind velocity. Yeah, Angela, it's crazy. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I literally I see Ted at least once a week at work. At least. He's usually out covering the trial and stuff now. But yeah, those are literally people I work with. All right. So the storm that was near Quincy and Hannibal and Payson and Burton as well, the rotation is really weakened. I don't expect they're going to extend this tornado warning right now, but we're going to be watching this. The tornado warning, the only other tornado warning in effect right now is in a very sparsely populated area. Some of you guys may be in a tornado watch, but I don't see any other tornado warnings. We do have a severe storm warning on the north side of the St. Louis metro area. I'm not seeing much else. Like I said, honestly, our weather has really calmed down quite a bit. So I am going to wrap up the live soon here. Park Hills, Missouri. I don't know exactly where Park Hills is. Let me say this, though. Everyone right now is largely okay. I don't see that much in the way of imminent tornado threats. If you're in Springfield, Missouri, yes, you can go to sleep. Still some very strong wind moving into central Arkansas, though. That's a pretty big storm moving in there at this moment. Let's see, though. Honestly, guys, I am... you're saying tornado warning in Washington, Missouri. I'll take a look at that. I'll take a look at it. They did cancel a tornado warning. That could be the one you're thinking of. Let me see, though. I'm checking for you right now just to make sure I'm not missing anything. But Washington, Missouri. If you're in Washington, I do not see a tornado warning out there. Looking at radar, that may be a tornado watch, although they usually end those on the hour. Okay, yeah, to cancel it. I thought that was the one they canceled earlier, or maybe something like that. Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. If you're in Alton, yeah, you can go to sleep out there. Okay, let's see. Honestly, guys, I am, unless you guys want to chat for a little bit, I am planning to wrap up this live pretty briefly. Angela, I'll go live tomorrow if it gets bad. Otherwise, I'll be getting back to posting my my regular weather updates as videos on YouTube. If you guys are watching on TikTok, by the way, and if you guys are watching on YouTube too, every other day I do like it's more like an 8-minute weather update. And if you've been following me on YouTube, you know that we were talking about this exact severe weather threat about a week ago. So YouTube's a really good resource. If you guys are looking for weather information, you know, I'm going to give it to you online before you're going to hear it anywhere else. Because it seems like people want to know, even if it's a low chance, they want to know. So I'm just telling you, if I see a low chance for severe weather, even if it's a week out, I'm going to tell you. And sometimes it turns out to be like this. So again, that's at Tucker Weather. If you're watching on TikTok, that's my YouTube handle where you can get some of that information. And on YouTube also, obviously, if you guys are watching, you can find my videos here. I really kind of just started doing more YouTube stuff recently. TikTok, I do more of the casual stuff, some more behind the scenes. YouTube, I kind of get more into the weather. So there'll be more on there for you guys to see. I plan on doing some more educational stuff on YouTube also. But awesome. Thanks, Angela. If I'm not live tomorrow, I'll be live whenever we get a big severe weather threat. Which it's tough to say when we get our next big severe weather threat, but if we get anything big, I will be live almost always, unless I have to work. Okay, let's see. Just looking to see if there's anything else, but honestly, guys, yeah, there are some tornado warnings. I do believe they're going to expire though. The one around Quincy, I just looked at it. There's not much there now. They're almost definitely going to let that one expire. Same with the one that's a bit to the south and west of St. Louis. I believe they're going to let that one expire. You're at Rolla, you're good. You can go to sleep in Rolla. St. Louis, you can go to sleep in St. Louis, but make sure emergency alerts are on your phone if you're going to go to sleep, just out of an abundance of caution. But really, it does look as though the severe weather threat is rapidly decreasing tonight. The exception is in southern Missouri and central Arkansas, where we still have a strong line of storms moving through here. And this strong line of storms is going to continue moving east. So central Arkansas, even eastern Arkansas, and southeastern Missouri still have that severe weather threat. All right, guys, though, because you're welcome, Lauren. You bet. Thanks for being here. Hey, guys, thanks for being on the lives, whether it's TikTok or YouTube you're watching on. I do plan on wrapping it up now because, simply put, severe weather has really diminished tonight. And while it's not a 0% chance for severe weather, it's pretty low. So I want you to be aware if you're especially in southeastern Missouri or central Arkansas. But the severe weather threat is decreasing a lot. If you're in St. Louis, there is still a threat for severe storms. So again, make sure emergency alerts are on your phone. But we are not seeing so much activity now. So going to wrap this one up. And like I said, if you're looking for weather information ever, you can find me here. You can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. Oh, obviously, I might have already said that. Twitter is what I meant to say, or X, whatever you want to call it. Facebook. You can find me everywhere. So I'm going to wrap this one up. If you guys have any more questions, especially if it's about the threat tomorrow, you can find me at Tucker Weather on Instagram. You can shoot me a message there. I'll do my best to respond to all you guys. And I just want you guys to stay safe. So I'm going to wrap this one up. And I'll see you next time we get a big severe weather outbreak. Oh, and also if you're watching here on YouTube, like I said, be sure to check back for some of the more educational content I'm trying to get out. Just some extra stuff that you guys might be interested in here on YouTube and all that stuff. But yeah, if you have any questions, you know where to find me, and I'll do my best to keep you updated. So stay safe. See you next time.